I'm going live. Shut up.
I put the screenshot of his.
Yeah. All
I'm
right.
just
We're live.
pattern.
We're live.
I'm done with the Feb. I love that video. All right. Yes. Hello, everybody. This is episode 42, 43. One of these
44.
days.
44. You mid.
Yeah. One day I will know. So yeah, we're covering Adam again. Yes, we are retards for doing that, but it's if you don't look, if you don't enjoy it as much as we do, then in like 2 years you can just select something else. So just come back in 2 years and it'll be fine.
We'll find a new logo.
Yes. Today we are with Nightbreed again, and also me at the same time. That's quite a wonder, isn't it? How have we not met?
I don't know.
Just pure luck. Yes. Anyway, we're going to be dealing with this another video of his where he has like a list of what is it? What is the video basically? Is it like a list of the types of people who like the prequels?
Well,
They're called patterns.
the one that's on the watch together is him calling out some bully he knows in school.
Okay,
And
well
then-
let's not go after that. Oh, this is what he looks like, by the way. He looks like an
On his message notepad,
No.
he sent these these patterns that he keeps quoting over and over again, and I asked him if I could see the patterns, and he sent them to me, and I've put the screenshot in the.
We're
chat.
gonna be reviewing the patterns.
Good
not
God,
what it
he
looks
needs
like.
to learn how to indent because some of these sentences keep going on, and if I zoom out anymore, you're not going to be able to read it.
And he needs to learn how to use periods, commas, and
Here, I got a better idea. I'll
semicolons.
just. Yeah,
That's
his
true.
grammar is terrible. I got a better idea. I'll actually put the link in the chat.
Wait, so he hasn't made a video about the patterns of prequel fans.
No, but he
Ah.
has sent the patterns. So I thought we would go over that and be like,
Alright.
yo, what are these
Alright.
patterns? Dumb.
All right, let me exit this fun video game from my childhood to do something that is not fun in my current day life. All right, let's take a look.
Adam, that's fine.
Review response chat. Oh, okay. U.S. General guy. Holy Jesus!
Fucking
What
hell,
is that?
holy shit.
What the?
I have an ultra wide and this why is this so long?
All
Look at this one sentence though. The pattern, I think it's 5. Why is it?
Hold on.
Why does
Hold
it just keep going on and on?
Why is this one all the way in fucking China? Jesus.
I'm gonna fix this.
One sec. I'll do it.
No, I'll do it. I got it.
Where's C++, Notepad? Give me that. Notepad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Coach in the Temple of Awesome. That's a video incoming, guys. If you love Gmod style videos, that's a video I'm going to be making. All right.
Jesus.
Where's the fucking thing? All right. You should probably like. I don't know. I'm not. All right. Well, I'm. Whatever. I don't care. Just.
If I were to read this text file and all of it's like perfect, like perfectness, what the fuck I'm talking about?
Oh, guys, it's actually better. It's actually automatically better structured in it's actually way better structured than Notepad++. So
I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it.
I wonder how that was it.
it works. It works. I've got it. He wrote this in Notepad++.
Oh, okay. I was about to say I need like a fucking super ultra wide to read this shit.
I mean,
Do you want to know what I'm doing in order to read this?
What?
I've pulled out my phone from my pocket, I've clicked the link, and you can actually have a perfect fit on your phone via Google.
Hold on.
Well, it's not that kind to me. I've got to read this ridiculously long sentence.
Don't worry. I got it.
Yeah, this is just yeah. I guess I gotta do Notepad++ on my.
What? Oh,
What?
thank God! It's all right. Sorry, I was trying to. I'm
Replica's going insane. Nothing new.
I'm like trying to structure his sentences so like when there's a dot, I press enter
Wait,
so that it's more
Pattern
structured.
8 is somewhere lost in pattern 7. What the fuck?
What?
Yeah. We'll get there. We have to go a pattern at a time. Okay. We have to respond.
There, I fixed his pattern 8.
Pattern 8 is still lost in pattern. All right, I got it. You guys calm down. I got it.
No, I already got it on stream.
And you. Fuck
my
you.
God.
I'm gonna listen. I'm getting it in text to speech, so screw you. Or maybe I can narrate it for
Gosh,
you
we're
guys.
just messing up the stream by doing this.
All right.
One of us can narrate it. It's fine.
I'll,
Technical
I'll
difficulties, my man.
I
I'll
think
narrate
you
it.
might want to just watch the stream, Oliver, because I know your mic is not really that great.
It will just be
Not trying
another.
to-
It will just be another excuse to flaunt my amazing voice acting capabilities.
There,
Where
I
is-
think they should be able to read it.
Where
Check
is?
the stream if they're able to read it.
Why does he not dots here? Okay, well I'm just okay. Anakin Palpatine was able to. Okay, okay, yeah, that's a good place to press enter. Holy shit! It keeps going off. Stop! Oh my dear. Okay, that's better.
Oh, hello,
I told him if he
Stable.
didn't know how to structure a sentence, he probably shouldn't be criticizing an art form that's comprised of sentences.
Ugh, all right. Almost got it. All right.
Maybe he knew
All right,
we were
okay.
gonna stream this, and he
It-
made
it-
it hard for us to stream it.
All right. So do you guys want me to like throw this through the text to speech, or do you want me to narrate?
Oliver,
I'd
are you gonna bring anything to the table?
Text to speech or narration?
I'd rather narration. Text to speech is probably going to be like even more grating.
Yeah, it's going to jank text to speech because of all the symbols he has in there.
All right. Y'all be quiet. I'm gonna start. There we go. This is gonna be horrible. Mom, how about extra water for my? Okay, let's do this. The behavioral patterns of
This guy.
Pattern 1. Echo chambers. They say without knowing what they mean because everyone else is saying it. This includes strawmans out of context. The sequels made me appreciate the prequels. In truth, a general lack of thinking or direction, other than what people on the internet tell them, is pretty characteristic of a prequel fan.
Okay. Now, my response.
Now, can we say that in English?
All
Alright, so the echo chamber.
The echo chamber.
They say things without knowing what they mean because everyone else is saying it. This includes strawman out of context. It's actually funny to say the Russian accent. This includes strawman out of context. The sequels made me appreciate the prequels. In truth, a general lack of thinking or direction, other than what people say on the internet, tell them that is pretty characteristic of a prequel fan. I did not comprehend any of that. What is? What am I saying?
Okay. Now, what I think he's saying is that, first off, I don't know why he's got echo chambers as the title of this pattern and strawman out of context along with it, because they're two different things.
Oh god damn it! I just realized that this first sentence is like the core of it. He doesn't put like a double dot on top of it.
Yeah, there's no thesis. There's no like real thesis statement in this one. They're actually contradictory, so it's like a run-on sentence.
I mean, like the way I read it, I don't like. Hold on. Okay, yeah. Inability to accept criticism. Okay, that's number 5's core word. Confirmation bias number 5. Wait, he said.
But confirmation bias is part of echo chambers.
Guys,
Yeah.
he wrote number 5 twice.
Confirmation bias. I think what he meant was confirmation bias ... or at least a dash for like you would a definition in a dictionary or glossary.
All right. What? Okay, well, what the fuck ever. All right.
But as far as his echo chambers go, like I don't know anyone else that creates more blatant echo chambers than the Infamous. Like, his response to someone coming into my comment section and calling me a Jew is to invite them into his Discord server. Like, just because they agreed with him. And that's like straight from his mouth. That's what he said. I asked him, it's like, why is your first response to someone calling me a Jew to invite them to your Discord server? And he goes, because they agree with me. I was like, oh, okay. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
that's questionable.
Why do they call you a Jew?
Well, the guy that called me a Jew was joking. Like, I actually know who he is. He's like a pretty infamous troll to the point where he trolls everyone. So he's kind of a loose cannon.
Yeah.
So
are you?
No, I'm
okay. Okay.
Nothing against the Jewish or anything. I'm not.
It just comes out of left field, and I've done. All right.
Here's the thing: I'm partially a Messianic Jew, so
Why is he such a hateful? Why does he hate people so? This is like this is. I'm just imagining, like, Superman, except being biased, and like you blow up like you blow up.
Want to join my Discord server?
like you blow up a bus with like children in it, but because there was a guy he didn't like, he's like, all right, you're all right.
You want to join my Discord server, bro?
he's like Homelander from The Boys.
Yeah, kind of.
Replica, what the fuck was that voice? There's a guy in the chat here, or the Discord chat. That voice is me trying to sound like a dumb or nerdy person.
Could I do pattern 6 for you guys?
Yeah, but let's go over them one at a time though, because
right.
First off, his definition for echo chambers, like he's gonna say there's nothing objective. First off, for someone that accuses other people of being a communist, he sure likes his moral relativism, doesn't he? So let's get this out of the way. Words have definitions, right? Okay, Infamous. That's how we communicate and have easier communication. They say things without knowing what they mean because everyone is saying it is not an echo chamber. It's a byproduct of one.
The sequels made me appreciate the prequels. In truth, a general lack of thinking or direction, other than what people on the internet tell them, is pretty characteristic of prequels.
I think he meant to put a period after prequels. The sequels maybe appreciate the prequels. Yeah, in truth, a general lack of thinking. It's like, first off, these aren't even connecting thoughts, because this sentence has nothing to do with, in truth, a general lack of direction or something like that. It's like,
okay, so I'm not insane. I'm like, I don't know what he's trying to say here. I'm like,
yeah, and also it's odd because he's switching from a third-person investigations voice to a first-person subjective voice.
Like, I feel really stupid here because I'm like, I don't get any of this. I'm like, I'm hoping like I'm not missing out on something here.
No, don't worry, you're not. The Infamous is not one-upping you in brain power or anything. He's just.
By the way, I'm like
dead
right now because I've been up since like fucking 10 at night.
That's nothing.
Nightbreed.
Yeah.
You and me, worse. Like, you're a more published author than I am, but like, you see the issues with like his tone of voice and structure here, right?
Like, there's so many fundamental things wrong with almost every single sentence. Not only does he, like, the pattern one's not even a coherent thought. Like, let's get that out of the way. Like, they're almost conflicting ideas. Like, if this was a paragraph, there would be sentences you would take out because they have nothing to do with the rest of the paragraph. But honestly, what this should have been, instead of echo chambers, it should be, I don't know, strawman. Like, they say things without knowing what they mean because everyone else is saying it. That has nothing to do. That's not an echo chamber. An echo chamber is surrounding yourself by voices that echo your opinion, which is what he does and admits that he wants to do. Like that. But there's also just like fundamental flaws with how he writes. Like, and you are right. He keeps switching like third person to first person.
It's true. General lack of thinking. Like I don't know where that even comes from.
Yeah, I don't know what
Yeah.
he's trying to say there. Like in truth, a general.
Hold on.
I feel like he just deleted a part of a sentence somewhere.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's like we're
wait,
missing a sentence.
Hold on. Let me try and help Adam here and read this in a different way.
Okay, interpret, please.
Sequels made me appreciate the prequels. In truth, a general lack of thinking or direction, other than what people on the internet tell them, is pretty fucking. I can't read that. Characteristic of a prequel fan.
Jesus, we have things called Google people. Use it.
Okay, here's the thing,
use it
though.
to spell.
I think I might understand what he's trying to say. But what he should have said, they will say this includes strawman out of context. What he should have said, I don't know. Like his sentence is so broken that honestly, just delete it and start over. Like I'm not even trying to be mean.
All right. Could
love
I
that.
do something to try and fix this?
But
I'm
yeah, that's the
going
problem,
to-
though. If we try to fix it, will we take him out of context? We don't
Yeah,
know. That's
well, so I'm going to read pattern 1, but then as I'm reading it, I'm going to just restructure it as I'm reading
That's what
to
I've
try
been
and
doing.
make a more coherent thought.
That's what I've been doing this whole time.
But you
Yeah,
can't
but
get
let
inside
me-
his head, so you don't really know what he's trying to say.
Let me try. Because who knows, maybe a new person could do it. So, pattern 1, the echo chambers. They say things without knowing what they mean because everyone else is saying it. This includes strawmans out of context.
Strawman's out of
Yeah,
context.
right there. That is his first mistake. This includes.
comma, or strawman actually wouldn't be a comma. You would need a
Context.
yeah. You wouldn't need a comma. God, what did I forget the name of it? All of a sudden,
Not
it fled
my
my head.
Semicolon.
Don't take my strawman out of context.
Now, a semicolon would work. I think would function.
I love this. I don't even know what he's saying.
If he's talking about like the theoretical, they're saying straw mans, but the straw man was formed from out of context, then a semicolon could work.
Now, what would be better, what would be simpler is if he says, okay, they say things without knowing what they mean because everyone else is saying it. This includes making straw men or out of context statements, like the sequels made me appreciate the prequels.
We're debating what he's actually saying instead of covering his arguments.
Well, wait, but I'm not sure what he's trying to say, especially this one. This is the most nonsensical one. Let's be honest. I kind of get what he's trying to say with these other ones.
This is
But
like trying to read some old dead language or something. Like
Yeah.
we are archaeologists trying to dig out these fucking tomes or some shit like that.
Yeah, we're like a crew.
Pyramids.
We're like the crew behind the scenes of an anime trying to do the English dub.
What is this? What are we supposed to do?
Evil man's walking with the gun. They shoot the gun and the whole world is exploding. All right. Okay. Well, Adam, we're gonna move on to the next one.
Yeah, but last thing before we do, and the in truth part, the general lack of thinking is common or is a pretty characteristic of prequel fans. Question, and this isn't whataboutism, okay? He clearly doesn't understand what that is. I'll explain it briefly. Whataboutism is basically when someone comes with you with a criticism of an idea, and instead of countering that criticism, you go, "Well, yours has problems," without actually trying to criticize your own thing. Like if you criticize both ideas or contradict an idea and say it's wrong, it's not whataboutism, automatically. That's not how it works. But the question is, what idea could you not apply that to? The pretty characteristic of prequel fans' lack of direction or thinking. Like, there's so many ideas you can apply that to.
All right.
even liking the movies that he likes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that whataboutism was an excuse to like not deal with certain style of argumentation. I'm happy you
Yeah,
cleared
yeah.
that up for me.
Yeah, it is. You point out a criticism in somebody else's thing to avoid having to address the one in your own. It's like when you
Oh.
criticize. I hate to get too political, but when you criticize socialism, they're just like, "Well, what about corporations and capitalism?" It's like, okay, address mine first. It's like yours is still a problem.
What about ism is if you try to counter an argument by saying, "What about X?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there are times where you can say what about something that isn't what about ism. Like he's trying to constantly say that the part where I was comparing Anakin. In fact, he has it right here. I know he wrote it down after I used it, but Anakin and Dooku and comparing it to Luke and Vader, which by the way, thematically they are the same fight. Let's get that out of the way. Like
Yes, they are.
Yes, like that's actually strengthens Luke's character, by the way, because it makes it more significant. Because Anakin, when he lost the first time and then defeated Dooku the second time, fell to the dark side, where Luke was able to resist it and didn't kill Vader. Like that's pretty significant. Like I think
It doesn't take a fighting expert to figure that out.
Indeed.
Yeah,
It's also tragic because if Dooku was more significant to him, then he probably wouldn't have done that. All right.
Yeah. But
So-
the point is that he tries saying that's whataboutism when I point out how he'll point something out that's wrong with the prequels, and I will say, okay, that's not a thing that is necessarily wrong. That can be like other stories can use this. My problem is that his things are too narrow. He will say things like politics bad. Like, wait, what about stories that have good politics? It's still bad. It's boring. It's like no.
Bang.
Bad politics is bad. Like, let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm
I'm
asking
gonna-
you to be more specific doesn't mean I'm doing whataboutism.
Yeah, like it would have to make no sense in order for it to be bad politics. All right. Let's move on to pattern 2. I'll use my scientist voice for this one.
Hello, I'm scientist man.
I kick Rich Evans' ass on that so hard you have no idea. Whataboutism? They will constantly try to prove that their opponents are hypocrites by attacking a film they like. Like it goes. Okay, I need to not like change the pitch. They like it goes like this. The original trilogy is overrated. Why do you hate this but likes this? If the only thing you can do to defend a movie is whataboutism arguments, then it's a side. He did. That's with an A. Okay. Then that's a sign you might be a little bit biased. Why does he always say you might be a little bit brainwashed? You might be a
Yeah.
little bit biased.
Well, you know what you sounded like just then? You sounded like the Boom Beach guy.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know? I hope nobody finds my plans. Like the Boom Beach. You never heard of that?
Ah, you steal my plans.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah,
you said.
it's just generic cartoon sounds. Obviously.
Well, that was the point, is that they made him sound like a generic cartoon.
Yeah. All right.
But we kind of covered whataboutism already. But I want to this part right here. The original trilogy is overrated. That depends on what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, like Empire's overrated.
Yeah.
4 is excellent, and 6 is epic.
I actually, if it was me, I watched them recently. Which let's get this out of the way. Yeah, they're kind of tainted by the special edition like ads. Like some of those are distracting, particularly in the first film.
Okay, I will concede. And how I'm conceding is that there are some stuff, but not all, that it does have a small distraction.
I would say there's actually one scene in particular that really distracted me.
Please
and that's-
God, don't say it's Greedo
Moss-
shooting first.
No. Mos Eisley. When they're driving into Mos Eisley, it looks like the main menu of a DVD, and it's like, oh my god, this is bad. Like, I don't know what was wrong with the original shot, but that like when I saw it, I was really distracted.
if that's all you have as a problem, then
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
sure.
Then it's really not that big of an issue. But at the same time, when I saw it, I was like, "Ooh!" It's like that's. But at the same time,
Okay.
I think you only notice it because retarded people like Red Letter Media try and always put such a goddamn focus on it.
no,
Yeah.
actually, I didn't realize that was in the movie, and I watched it, and I went, "Oh!" Like I never knew about that scene.
All right, okay.
Okay, yeah, like it's a
You know,
subjective
also-
thing that we can talk about, but that's for a later time.
I'll say this: the '70s CGI was far worse. Let's see here.
Depends on what we're talking about, because there is some old school.
Yeah, I
There's
know.
some-
There's some old school CGI there that's also good.
There's a
but,
lot of really good effects from that era that look great. Like if you've ever seen like Space Odyssey, that movie, some shots in that movie look super impressive.
I'll give it a watch. All right, pattern 3. If something makes sense in context, it automatically becomes entertaining for everyone. This includes the Jedi have no emotions because they're warrior monks. All right, hold on. The Jedi have no emotions because they're warrior monks. Anakin can't flirt because he's a Jedi, and so on. Other people have proven that these things are not enjoyable, so get away. What? Oh,
Get in the way, I think is what he's talking about.
I.
Get away!
Okay. So if something makes sense in context, it automatically becomes entertaining for everyone. I don't know why he keeps using this argument because it's
Yeah.
terrible. And this, like, by the way, I would counter this with his own words and say, subjectivity is a stupid shield. And it's one of those things, if you don't have context, that means you don't know, right? Which means you don't know why you hate a thing. So if the only thing you can do to hate a movie is say that you don't know, then that might be a sign that you're a little bit brainwashed.
Yeah.
I like how when I was reading that, like my mind, like when you read something aloud, you comprehend it less fast than everybody else. Like I was like, other people have proven that these things are not enjoyable, so get away. I was like, I wanted to continue reading to get the arguments, but he didn't make an argument. He just said proven not things enjoyable, so get away. And I was like, whoa.
First off, to prove is like an objective term, and yeah, like enjoyability is not. For what you enjoy really doesn't matter to how good the story is. Like there are plenty of movies that I doubt people would describe as enjoyable that are excellently crafted, right? Movies that have really uncomfortable like subject matter. And are you saying because some people didn't enjoy the film that it's a bad film and that all the work the
All
artist
right,
put
and I have a perfect example for that. Now, two of my favorite movies by a very questionable director would be The Village and Lady in the Water by M. Night Shyamalan.
Ooh.
A lot of people say those movies are crap, but I enjoy them.
Yeah. Well, a good example for me would actually be the original Old Boy, if you know what that movie is.
All I know is that some guy is locked in the
Yeah.
house and can't go anywhere.
And he beats a whole bunch of people up in a hallway with a hammer. That
Oh,
is
yeah.
a fantastically crafted film, but I don't particularly enjoy it like I do some other movies, but I appreciate it, and I do acknowledge the things it does well.
What is that? Okay, I'm not gonna ask what is that movie about, but I just want to ask: is it literally just a guy in a room forever?
No, that's like the first 20 minutes of the film. It's the inciting incident. There's a lot that happens in that movie.
All right, so he escapes from it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Yeah. Well, there's Adam always has this weird way of talking to people, arguing. Like it just,
Yeah.
like like he like when I was reading that, like he sets it up. He sets up like he gives reasons like the Jedi have no emotion because they're warrior monks, which is provable, understandable, and it's a shame. It is shocking. So many critics never even considered that. Anakin can't flirt because he's wait. That's a straw man. It's because he's an awkward boy, or because he's adolescence, and he's been trained not to have emotions and
Yeah,
fall in
he can't
love.
flirt because he doesn't know how to flirt.
Funny
That's-
how the guy who complains about people strawmanning literally has like has quoted strawman arguments in his patterns.
No, that's not.
And here's the thing, like, just to like add a point to like Anakin not being able to flirt. Look, I'm engaged. I'm getting married, but still this day, if you ask my fiance, I do not know how to flirt. I suck at it.
Yeah,
My
sometimes you
only-
just-
I do agree that some of the like here's the thing on the prequels I'm kind of in the middle. I do completely agree that a lot of the criticisms they throw are just like, what are you talking about? That's not an issue. Politics are boring. It's like, yeah, but there's some things require politics, especially in a universe that has that vast of things. We want to see how things work so they make more sense. It's like that's not an argument, but I do agree some of the dialogue is a bit. I don't know if it's intentionally awkward, but I could see where someone could
I'm
be like,
pretty sure it's intentional.
It is intentional.
yeah.
Like it's
But-
in fact it's something I'm going to be bringing up in my videos that criticizing dialogue, which is intended to be in a certain way, is going to kill like natural dialogue in movies. Well, basically has killed.
Well, here's the thing. There are examples in the prequels where the dialogue probably missed the mark, and even Anomaly points this out. And I agree. Sometimes it does sound too Shakespearean. And
Yeah,
it's
it
a
does.
problem a lot of writers run into when they're writing things that are heavily inspired, especially like period pieces, because people back in certain times didn't talk like we do now. So you're going to have to make it where it sounds authentic, but also sounds like something we would say now so people would understand it.
I
Like-
guess I'm biased because I come from an old school style family, and I really don't like the amount of F-bombs and stuff and or something or just all those like little just lower IQ style, usages of words
Yeah.
that we have a lot today. So I kind of favor the prequels just anyway because people talk so nicely. But I totally
Mhm.
get that it's jarring because it really is. Like it's they don't,
And
they
I
don't
would, yeah, I would
Well-
actually say a better example of it that I think did a little better would actually be Lord of the Rings, where they made it understandable to a modern audience, but still sound authentic enough that you could see someone saying this in like an old English
Yes.
setting.
well,
Because
I think what
like here's the thing, like now I am well versed in Shakespearean English style of speaking, so if I say thy wit is as sharp as a wooden pick and is as bright as a smothering coal, where if thy decided to go to Africa and dime for diamonds with thy wooden pick, your wit is equal. Like,
Yeah.
would you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless I knew Shakespeare, no.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like, I think that because like I actually am a fan of some 1930s films. I watched The Invisible Man. I watched Frankenstein. I'm yet to still watch The Wolf Man. But when I watch these movies, like I personally, like on my own level, I find the way they talk to be simply just superior. It's a lot more objective, like just like in the scene where the dude brings his drowned daughter to the police chief, and he explains it, and then the police chief says, "Poor man, why do you bring him here to me?" Whereas like other people be like, "Oh my god, I feel so bad for you." I don't know, but
Yeah, they say it how it is back then, where now you have to worry about people's fees.
yeah.
Well, right now, like I'll give you an example. I'm having to watch out for this myself, except it's not old English. It's like American Western English, like in the 1800s. So they still talk slightly differently. There's still some terms we use today, but like a lot, they have a very different style of talking. And then you're going to get into one of the characters is an Irishman. So he has a very distinct accent and certain things he says that the others around him aren't going to say. It's little things like that, but you're going to have to make it like if I just filled it full of old
it was
people
too.
aren't going to understand it.
It was
Yeah.
the problem with the prequels. It was too far back. Like 1950s would have probably been better. Like 1930s are just straight up like a different time, like in altogether. Like the way I think maybe the way how people talked in the James Bond films could have worked pretty well. Like
Yeah, James Bond films have some pretty strong dialogue, I think.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
let me find an
So-
example of what I'm talking about. All right, so for
So
context,
we-
there's a random character that shows up at a gate, and he tells at this fort and tells everyone to leave, and I have to give them all different character, but I have to make it sound authentic at the same time as making it understandable, because there's a lot of terms that people are going to be like, "What? What does that mean?"
Mhm.
So
So
yeah,
from the sound of it, like we all agree that the prequel dialogue is good, but it does have its issues in time period of
yes.
speaking.
yes.
Yes, I would say it kind of. Hi, everybody. I would say it kind of toes the line occasionally between the character might be unusual enough to say this, but there is like a point where it's just like, would a real human being consider this something to say? And I would never say it's never certain that a character wouldn't say this, but I think it's like there are times when you can question whether or not a character would actually say this.
Yeah. There's in the rewrite I'm doing of the story I did now. There's a couple of times I've made a character say something. I'm like, wait a minute, he would never say that. He would say something like this.
Nightbreed, just a little bit of writing advice. Don't be afraid to, sometimes have something that sort of seems off the wall, because that's also something that makes a story memorable. Like, like if we're gonna be completely honest, like for instance, Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, came absolutely out of nowhere, and I don't even know why it's popular, but here we are. Like that line in Die Hard is really memorable. A lot of people remember it, and they really like it, and it came out of freaking nowhere. So,
Well,
So-
the problem is that the story I'm writing is kind of serious, so I'm going to have to be extra careful so it doesn't come off as cheesy.
I'm not talking about cheesy. I'm talking about
Yeah.
like,
No, I
something
understand.
that
Yeah.
I don't
Do
know.
you-
Like, it's just like it.
Sincere.
Don't worry, I've already got a few that are like that. Me personally, I like the dialogue style. There's a director, writer. He also writes books called. His name is S. Craig Zallar. If you've ever seen Bone Tomahawk, you've seen one of his movies.
Yes.
Okay, he is a really good. He writes really good dialogue, it's particularly for the Western times. And he has this issue too, where some of that dialogue will carry over to like an urban setting, and it sounds off.
Yeah,
Like I can't see a thug in the modern day saying,
Oh yeah, I totally
thank
get what you mean. Like,
Yeah.
what you gotta have, what you need to understand is to be able to write certain characters to speak differently in different situations. That's a often common writing mistake. Everybody talks the same way.
Yeah.
Now, one good modern movie I will say, because they actually like go into the style of speaking, is the modern day remake of Magnificent Seven.
See, I actually wasn't a huge fan of that movie, but I'm
And
a
that's
huge fan of-
fine, but you have to give credit to like they actually were able to put in like the style of speaking in a very excellent way.
I
Alright,
think
alright.
the movie that did a little better is actually The Revenant, but that's just me. But let me. There's something I want to point out here. The thing where he says if something makes sense in context, context can change scenes like so fundamentally.
Yep.
Like, have
It
you ever
definitely
seen like the compilation of Star Trek clips out of context?
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah, they're funny, but if you watch them in context, you're not laughing. Like,
Yeah.
let's be honest. It's like the prime example. I don't know how many original series fans I have here for Star Trek.
I
Hmm.
I wanted to watch Star Trek one day, but they kept, they had these elitist fans that hated Star Wars, so I automatically hated Star Trek because of them.
I've watched the original trilogy. I am a fan, but not as much as a fan compared to Next Generation.
But yeah, there's a scene. I don't know if you remember it, Fighting Expert, but there's a scene in the original series. Now you know Spock, right? Everyone knows Spock at least. He's like the most iconic character
Yes.
in that series. His whole thing is that he is a half human, half Vulcan who tries to keep his emotions in check, and he's constantly at war with himself. But he's strong enough to keep it down, to keep his rage down. So there's a scene like he compliments himself all the time and holds himself in high regard for being so disciplined with his emotions. And there's a scene that some people, if you watch it out of context, will find funny, where these like god things are messing with his head. And this is a scene that I always quote, and they're like dancing around and laughing, and they're doing things that you might find funny. But when you think about it in context, for someone that has such good mental discipline of his emotions, having your emotions messed with like that is basically the equivalent to like molestation. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
For him, that's like a humiliation in the highest regard. So, like, when you see it happen in context, it's not funny because he's basically being humiliated in front of God and everybody for something that he like worked years on. So, like, context can completely change a scene.
Yeah, it hits heavier when you watch it in context.
Yes.
All right. Well, don't get me wrong. I would love to keep talking about this, but we have a dumbass to dissect. So let's get to the.
Wait,
where's
did he say
where's
pattern
Watch
5?
Level?
Did he say pattern
There's
5?
there's no watch. We don't need airborne. We're going off a text list from Adam Wazuria.
Oh,
All right.
well, where is it?
Pattern number 3, guys. Everybody, pay attention. If something makes sense in context,
Did we just do that one?
Yeah, we did.
Yes. What? Oh, fucking goddamn it! I had it. Fucking.
Oh,
Fuck
I
you guys.
missed that
We're on
one.
the
That
We're
was
on
my
pattern
favorite.
4, which is pattern 5.
Pattern 4. Inability to accept criticism. No, you're not going to be able to understand this accent. Inability to accept criticism. This pattern that everyone recognizes, they're incapable of handling other people's criticism of the movies. I feel like we should already stop there. This is pattern. This is the pattern that everyone recognizes. Okay, so the inability to accept criticism. They are incapable of handling other people's criticism of the movies.
Hey, guys, remember when we went on like a 20-minute tirade talking about how some of the prequels' dialogue misses the mark and sounds a bit too Shakespearean? Yeah.
Yeah.
we clearly, I mean, pretty much everywhere I go, I am misrepresented by my points. In terms of how I view the prequels, I mean, like I constantly give my ratings of them, and I'm like, yeah, they're like, NMS is like 7.5 to an 8. Attack of the Clones is like 8 to an 8.5, probably an 8.5. Under the Sith is like a 9.5, and they're like, do you think the prequels are perfect masterpieces? And I'm like,
I literally gave them.
see that I didn't give them all points out of 10. It means I think that they're flawed in some capacity.
Are you saying that anyone can strawman, not just prequel fans? What?
Yeah. What is your rating, by the way, Night the Breed? You're
Sorry
probably
about
going
that.
to offend me, so just be prepared for that.
Okay.
Sorry, what would you say, Nightbreed? I accidentally left the voice call for some reason.
Yeah, I said, so you're telling me that people other than prequel fans and pretty much any fan can strawman, right? Like, or is this what you're telling me?
Literally anybody is capable of a straw man.
Yes.
Yeah. So my rating of the prequels, okay. The one I've seen the most, that I've often just watched it by itself because I actually do enjoy it, despite some of its shortcomings, is actually the Revenge of the Sith. I actually really like that one. But I would say Phantom Menace I enjoy overall. I do kind of agree that there are parts of it that probably could use a bit more character work, but nothing to the degree that people are saying it does. I would say probably a 6.
None of these characters have character traits.
No, I'm not saying that because, like, I obviously do. That's not fair.
Yeah,
Fuck
I know. I just love
True.
quoting Cosmo.
The same people that say that are the same people that say Jar Jar's annoying. It's like, well, congratulations, you found his character trait. You know.
Even
Yeah.
worse, these are the same people who will say. Even worse, these are people who say that Rey is a dimensional character, which is absolutely hilarious to me.
She is really a non-character. Like she's the
She's
perfect
not-
example.
She's both.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not even. No, I want
So
to
you-
go the way.
Ray is basically the embodiment of Monty Python, something that isn't meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I assume you've walked back your stance on them a little bit, then Nightbreed, because you said they weren't good, which just fathom.
Bless you.
I'm sure I made some people raise an eyebrow in my video when I said I don't think they're good.
I don't.
Yeah,
like,
I'm
like,
actually pretty
like, don't-
surprised that you decided to make a response to Adam Wassier despite not having I mean, how much do you know about Anomaly Inc. and his view of the? How much at least did you know about his?
I knew enough to know who he was. I'd seen some of his videos and knew that his thing was defending the prequels, and I had seen his EFAP episode he did where he talks about the prequels. So I knew where he stood, but
Right.
I decided to respond to him because it was one of those things. It was kind of almost to prove to him, it's like, buddy, you can disagree with Anomaly, but you can't do it like this if you're going to want people to receive your video positively.
Let me guess. You watched the first 2 minutes and we're like, "Holy hell, what am I looking at?"
Yeah. I was like, listen, you can hate the prequels, but dear God, what is this? This is you're literally telling people that they're not allowed to like a movie. I try to be as objective as possible. Even as much as awful of a movie as Last Jedi is, if somebody goes, well, I liked it, it's like, okay. That would be my response. I wouldn't be like,
Oh my
no,
god, how dare you?
you can't like it because of pattern 5, you slut. I wouldn't say
Now, the only time that I would start arguing and shouting at them with The Last Jedi if they say that The Last Jedi had better fight scenes than the prequels.
Oh, yeah.
Oh god, there's so much wrong with the fight scenes, like the disappearing knife and the way that they literally wait for Rey to attack.
Want to strangle the people that are saying the episode 1 fight is just as bad as the sequel fight.
I mean,
Yeah, me and Replica have covered 2 videos.
Yes,
even
I'm still
Close,
editing
who
that
has a huge bias against the prequels for some bizarre reason, acknowledges that the Phantom Menace fight is better than the one in The Last Jedi.
Here's the thing, though. My problem with people who hate the prequels, if you hate the prequels, fine, and even if you can prove there's objective flaws with them, that's fine too. But when you're going, a lot of people do this with a lot of things. When you're going so far to make criticisms up with them because you hate them so bad that you'll even take good things away from them, bro, this is clearly a thing that they accomplished very well. It's like you can hate certain aspects of it. It's like the story might miss a few places in the prequels, but don't take away the really solid world building that these movies have.
Yeah, I personally I like the prequels more than anyone else here. I like it even more than Anomaly. No, I do, because I think they're all masterpieces. 10 out of 10 each, all 3 of them. I like it even more than Anomaly does. He says, I don't think the prequels are masterpieces, but I actually do think they are. But that's mostly because I don't consider most of the problems people have with them to be problems. I consider it to be very subjective. But I'll make videos about that. But even I can, there's things I don't. Obviously 10 out of 10 implies it's perfect, but it's I think I say this all the time, in my opinion they are at worst an 8 out of 10, which means that if I take a look at every last problem that they have, the rating would probably go down to an 8 or something.
I would say Revenge of the Sith, you could easily make a case for that being above a 9, but the other two, it's contentious. I would I would say like
I
Phantom Menace is definitely the weakest of the three.
I disagree with that. I actually think Attack of the Clones is the weakest, and that's somebody who I think the middle part of that movie stretches on a bit too long.
I
and
would
that's
say
my-
I'd say Phantom Menace definitely has better pacing, but I hardly find that to be like something objective. More so, like people
well, there
will
is a
enjoy
way
it
to
more.
measure it, though. Like basically, the usage of time towards the plot is good pacing, or
Right.
bad. All right.
Obviously, but
it probably helps that I don't give a shit about pacing like whatsoever.
I really don't. I mean, I think like in terms of criticism, it's like pretty low tier in terms of like its value. I would say that like I would just say that Phantom Menace is just the least defined of the 5 or 6.
It has the least character development. I will
Like,
definitely
everything just seems kind of like a lot of it just kind of like relies on not a lot of it, but some of it kind of relies on assumption rather than rather than the script actively measuring
Yes.
itself. Everything
I actually agree. I think this about the prequels, comparing them to the sequels. I think the prequels have the problem of having, in some ways, too much and not being able to elaborate on it enough. And this is a sentiment that Anomaly has. And the sequels, no. Okay. How do I put this? There's
too
a weird
much world building.
No, it has too much in places and not enough of certain other things. Where the sequels literally have the exact opposite problem, where there's no world building and like too much character work going on at once that we can't actually focus on what's happening.
I would just say there's not enough time in the prequels to discover everything that's going on. It's like that's kind of why George like did things like the Clone Wars multimedia project and Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It's just like he wanted to say more about what he did in the prequels.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I like the movies more so than even many people here, is because what you say is like there's too much of Nightbreed. I think that's like exactly what I want from Star Wars. So you know, it's that's probably why I love it as much as I do, because I've been obviously this is not like we should get back to the thing, but like I've more or less uncovered the problem with Star Wars, or at least the fan reception towards it. What I've basically, like the short version is, I've concluded that world building central station is what George Lucas wants with it, whereas most of the
I honestly can't really agree with that.
What do you mean?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think George does like world building, but I think his main focus is always just on the mythology of the characters and the.
I'm not saying that it's only like what I meant was.
I would make the case that it's more character study, more like sort of like a character driven drama rather than world building. I do think he cares a good deal about it, but if I had to pick one thing that George knew, it would be that the hero's journey or a twist on it.
Look, I understand that, but what I was all right. Okay, well, the Airborne makes a good point. I was just trying to simplify things. Thank you. So basically, all right. Anyway, so basically, George likes to expand world. He loves to have this big, like, giant, like, just enthralling, like, experience that you're really drawn into the world and the story and the politics and everything. Whereas most people just want sort of like Indiana Jones, like they wanted like an adventure movie in space, basically, and that's where the conflict comes in. Like they can't comprehend that. Like for one or more reasons, they can't comprehend that Star Wars was actually like it was actually always more the talky, techie. Well, maybe not necessarily like Star Trek style talky, techie.
It is certainly more like matter of fact presentation, like rather than crazy mythological thematic thing.
Also, here's something that's very interesting: the people that love so people who hate the prequels love Indiana Jones, but they're the same people that say politics bad. Indiana Jones has way more politics than the prequels.
They also
Really?
hate, and they also hate the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for some reason.
I don't like that movie. I'm
I
gonna be
think
honest.
it's whatever. I mean, it's like after the
It's-
sequel trilogy, it's kind of a blip in my memory.
I
It's
actually,
not as bad as Temple of Doom.
I
Oh
actually,
no, actually, I disagree with that. I actually quite like Temple of Doom.
I
Yeah, I like
actually,
it.
I actually thought the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was terrible, but then Rick Worley explained it like very quickly. Like he said that the reason why it was aliens at the end was because it was the 1950s where the conspiracy with the aliens and everything. So that's
Yeah,
why.
in context,
I
like,
don't think that quite makes it a great movie. I do
Well,
agree. That it's like,
but it
doesn't.
makes sense.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it bad that there's aliens in it. Anybody
Well,
that says
it explained it basically like Indiana Jones. It's just adventures. Like it doesn't really make all that sense anyway. Like it.
Did you see what Adam said?
I think Raiders of the Lost Ark has a pretty good plot. Like
I'm not
He
saying
says Indiana Jones has no politics, also pattern 2.
what. Oh, okay. Yeah, we need
I mean,
to
I,
continue.
mean I don't know. I don't think it has that much politics, does it?
not really.
You're dealing with the Nazis.
If I would,
Oh,
if
well, yeah, but that's more so like they're more so
background noise, really.
yeah, they're
Alright.
kind of military goons, not exactly political figureheads.
If we're going
Alright.
to talk about politics and storytelling, probably like Star Trek would be a better example because
All
their
right,
story-
all right, guys,
Yeah.
guys, let's continue, please. All right.
What's pattern
It's-
5?
We're not at pattern 5 yet. Pattern
Oh, yeah,
4.
pattern 4. Yes,
This-
the prequels have flaws, believe it or not.
This includes you're not allowed to have influence over the creative process if you're not George Lucas. Nobody hated the prequels until the internet told them to.
this is true. Like that, nobody hated the prequels part. We're not okay. Not nobody, but like this is a
don't think
very
that's
like
very
easily proven thing. Like
Like,
there's
I
even
don't-
interviews where people are just like, "Oh my god, I love the movie so much. I want to go back in and watch it again." Like the guy dressed up as Darth Maul. Like
Yeah,
people
yeah.
really liked that movie when it first came out, and then they started like hate videos were made on it, and people hate it now.
Yeah,
Thank
I-
you.
Plus, the RLM started the trend.
I don't think you could find somebody that would say that nobody hated the prequels. Like if you sat down and talked with pretty much every person on this earth, they would say they'd at least say that like one person hated the prequels. So like,
Yeah, that one 45-year-old asshole.
there were definitely some people, like the guy. that
Which,
said
by the way,
Apology
nobody
was-
hated the prequels till they ever told them so. Is a complete like that's a straw man, which he
Straw man.
already established that he's against. So, and another thing, this includes the you're not allowed to have the influence over the creative process if you're not George Lucas. That is absolutely false, and there are plenty of Star Wars stories that George Lucas is not involved in that I
I
can
mean, what
guarantee.
does that even mean, though? Like, who would say that?
He's trying to say because Ryan Johnson or Kathleen Kennedy is in charge of it, we hate it because it's not George Lucas. It's like, no. Like, there's a reason why people like Jon Favreau over Kathleen Kennedy because Jon Favreau has respect for the source material. Like, we
People
don't. If George never works on it,
about Lucas for like the 1980s.
yeah. If George never works on a Star Wars story again, I don't think most of us would really be that upset if Star Wars kept being good under somebody else. Can we agree
Yeah.
with that?
Well,
No.
that
I can agree.
Mandalorian ain't that great.
Like I,
Well,
Here's
really
the
not.
thing, though. Mandalorian isn't that great, but it's leagues and bounds more respectful than anything that Kathleen Kennedy has put out thus far.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
it's-
yes.
Low bar to
It's
say.
like
Yeah.
it's whatever. I guess it's certainly infinitely superior to the sequel trilogy.
It could be worse, guys. Listen,
Yeah,
you're not a
Yeah.
Star Trek. You're not a Star Trek fan. It could be so much worse. We have it so much worse than you guys. You guys
Yeah.
got at least
Oh,
a
I
hefty-
know all about the issues with Star Trek because my
Discovery.
fiance is a Trekkie.
Yeah, Star Trek Discovery and stuff like that. That's the reason people don't look at Star Trek and go, "Oh my god, it's not Gene Roddenberry making it. It's gonna suck." It's like, first off, Gene Roddenberry's been dead since Next Generation, and Rick Berman did really well keeping up his legacy even through his faults. What we have a problem with is bad creators like Ryan Johnson or Alex Kurtzman who take these ideas and poo-poo on all of them, and then
Yeah.
make like these utterly awful representations of them, and even spit in the faces of fans and go, "You'll like it." It's like, That's what we have an issue with.
Yeah, and it's besides the point. I don't think there are very few people on this planet you can find and say, "Oh, I only want stuff from George Lucas," because like people love KOTOR 1 and 2, despite George barely doing anything with those.
Force Unleashed.
He had a lot to do with that. I don't really like Force
Yeah,
Unleashed.
he did.
Okay, yeah, that's true. What about the original sequel? The original sequel novels.
Force Unleashed is kind of bad. Or if
I like personally, I'm definitely leaning towards like George Lucas is like mostly the only one that really knows what's up when it comes to
yeah, I mean he's the top guy. He knows more than anybody else. But he's
I
not.
think you could do it. You could replace him with someone who loves Star Wars as much as he does.
You could, but it would still I think like not to like try and make him sound like a god or anything, but I think the observation that only he can make you can only get awesome other style Star Wars. You'll never get Star Wars George Lucas.
I'll give you an example of a time that this actually in real life happened. Where a guy stopped making stuff in the middle of a series. Do you know what the Wheel of Time is?
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is.
It's the longest lasting epic fantasy story ever. It's got 14 books and all of them are ginormous. Robert Jordan, who wrote them, died in the process of writing them and never finished it. So another author who was a huge fan of his, who was up and coming, actually came in and finished the series and did an excellent job with it because he kept it true to the source material and based on his notes, and he tried making something respectful for him because he understood one thing that people like Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, and Alex Kurtzman don't understand. It's not yours. It is somebody else's car that you're borrowing, and you should take good care of it, right?
One thing and I have another example as well.
Hey, listen, I'm not saying that only the author can make it good. I'm just saying that it, like, you'd have the stars would have to align in order for it to turn out like exactly like how the original author would have wanted.
I don't really think we should expect that though. Like, just in terms of like, I don't think our expectations should ever be that high. And, I don't think that George Lucas is infallible. I think that people have made content that is better than some of his content.
Yeah.
Like, and one thing I will say about Siege of Mandalore, the final Clone Wars arc, I didn't love it, but I'll give it one thing, and that's that they have the original Lucasfilm logo on it, and it was basically like, it was kind of a reminder that like this is the last thing that George Lucas touched before Disney took over everything, because if they just use the new Lucasfilm logo, then, well, it's just like everything else in Disney, but that old Lucasfilm logo kind of reminds you that like George actually had something to do with this, and it's like, that was pretty cool. But, like, the point is, but the Clone Wars was so much more than that. It was a collaborative medium full of tons of different people that came to make the show good.
That all love Star Wars passion.
Yeah. And also I have another example which is a bit more well-known than the Wheel of Time, and that is some of the later works with Lord of the Rings, like the Untold Stories of Mordor.
Some of the things that were released in like the official like Lord of the Rings world building Bible and stuff like that.
Yeah, now see, like Untold Stories, like one of the actual original titles for that is the Unfinished Stories of Mordor. Reason being is because Tolkien never got around to finishing it because he passed away. Mm-hmm. So his family took everything together and tried to complete it.
Yeah, Christopher Tolkien was a big proponent of that.
A war left unfinished until now.
All right, well, look, you guys' point is well understood. I think I don't know. Maybe it's because George just got so much fucking shit for just making it his way that I
totally get that. Like,
I'll calm down about this sort of thing.
I am just like grossly against like so many principles of like the idea of the auteur because it's just really poisonous. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it doesn't count because George did it. So like any
Hey,
flaws.
look,
Because
look,
I've heard people on the A court like genuinely defend like actively not good decisions from George because George did it. You know?
Well, George screwed over David Prowse. This is,
I mean, like his treatment of him wasn't very good. It's just like
he ain't
does it
perfect.
automatically become good because George is the creator of Star Wars? I don't think so.
Yeah, there was a book written by an insider on set of like the original trilogy that talks about how there was never a plan for a trilogy, and George Lucas had no idea that a New Hope was going to go anywhere.
Okay, well that's just retarded. I'm sorry. That
No, there's actually proof.
there
There's
was-
actually proof of this, even in
No,
the way it's written.
I'm not saying there's a proof. It just like, oh, he didn't think it was going to get any bigger. Wow, dumbass! I would have never expected that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like he.
I'm not talking about you. I'm not calling you the dumbass.
Yeah. I'm not saying that people are even saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that there is, even in the way it's written, New Hope has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if it's the only Star Wars movie you ever saw, other than the small cliffhanger at the end, you would be satisfied because you got a complete story. Like you can kind of tell.
Yeah, I mean, George like wrote a giant script that he was originally planning to do one movie, but he was basically like, okay, I think I could take the first act of this and turn it into a movie because honestly, I don't know if I'm ever going to make a sequel to this, which was kind of his thing. He's just like, this could be 3 movies or this could be 1 movie, but honestly, I think it's only going to be 1 movie, so I'm just going to make 1 movie out of a third of this book.
And it became like a super big like.
Like there was always some sort of idea that he could make more than just 1 film, but
Yes, but
literally
he
started
wrote
out
it in such a way that if it fails, it's still 1 film.
Hey, look, guys, I know about that. It's just whenever people bring it up, they bring it up maliciously, and I'm sick of that bullshit.
They bring it up to excuse the fact that Disney didn't know what the hell they were doing with the sequel trilogy.
Exactly.
Oh,
right.
it's okay because Lucas didn't have a plan.
All right, guys. Pattern 5: confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is a psychological phenomenon coined by Peter Weizen, described as a tendency to look for, interpret, and recall information in ways that affirm our preconception. Whenever we encounter objective facts and an issue, we look at through the lens of our own beliefs. As a result, we see and overrate. we
English is not his strong suit, I'm guessing.
We say and overrate where the two intersect. I think this explains almost all recent praise of the Star. Go fuck yourself, Adam. I think this explains all recent praise of the Star Wars prequel trilogy. That preconceptions is that The Last Jedi is the worst Star Wars movie ever made. So
that actually is an inaccurate statement because Rise of Skywalker is the worst Star Wars movie ever made.
Copy that.
I think I would argue that Last Jedi worse in a way it's more disrespectful.
Yes,
Yeah. Last Jedi is more malicious. Rise of Skywalker just outballs out insane.
It's the most corporate like roller coaster movie ever.
All right. So, the worst Star Wars movie ever made, Last Jedi. So, they look for information that affirms this belief. One of the most common ways is to defend the prequels from criticism. This is written so poorly. But what the people who've always liked but what about the people who've always liked the prequels? Well, it's basically the same thing, except it's got a splash of contrarianism. They often have preconceptions that the original trilogy isn't that good, so they look for information which confirms it. What is this bullshit? I love the original trilogy.
Everybody likes the OT.
Yeah, most people who like the prequels also like the OT. This is a provable fact. Okay.
Now,
most
with me,
fans like the whole series except for what Disney did, because despite George Lucas's flaws with the prequels, There was no sign of disrespect, and it was meant in the best of intentions. That's the
Yeah.
key difference here.
Now, with me, sadly, the original trilogies have been soured because I grew up in a family where me and one of my brothers, we are the only ones that love the prequels, and so just growing up and always being crapped on by your family, that original trilogy just has a bad taste now because it reminds me.
Like, I'll probably never be able to appreciate Empire ever again. Like, I watched it recently, I liked it, but the word overrated was burned into my brain every second as I was watching
I
it.
think it's actually a pretty excellent film, but as far as people talk about, like,
it is excellent. Like,
I don't think it's one of the best films ever made. I would say it's as good of a sequel as, say, like The Wrath of Khan. You know, Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. I would say it's as good as that. Yes. I would say the only problem is that somebody brought this up, and it's an interesting point. The only problem it has is that some of the things it brings up in that movie maybe don't get answered as well, and that the cliffhanger keeps it from being as complete of a movie as New Hope, which I think is an interesting argument.
I also have a couple of, you know, we're not gonna go into them right now, but I have stuff like how Irvin Kershner basically forgot that the rebels exist in the movie, but that's stuff for.
I mean, not really.
Well, they just leave and never show up again.
We're following basically the same rebel cell that we were following last time, except maybe some of the leadership has been moved elsewhere.
Yeah, and also the fact, like, so Darth Vader is solely chasing after the Millennium Falcon. Han, Leia, and Chewie aren't going to lead the Empire directly to the rebels, so like we gotta lose them.
What the hell? All right, Adam said I am not the entire population. What?
What does that have to do with what?
Saying.
Well,
I don't know. He's taking stuff out of context.
Okay, well,
pattern one. So I want people to read the first
Using
sentence.
my quotes against me.
Yeah, I want people to read the first 3 words, or the first 2 words. Okay, no. Just the first sentence of
Echo
pattern
chambers.
5. Of pattern 5. And then I want you to take your eyes.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I want you to read the whole thing.
A copy of his patterns. I don't have them on me right now.
Confirmation bias is a psychological phenomenon.
Go to the Discord for the review response Discord, and it's the message. The thing that says message. Just download it.
Oh, gotcha.
So anyway, this part right here, where it says, confirmation bias is a psychological phenomenon coined by Peter Watson. Now, if I had any common sense or any kind of foresight, after putting that, I wouldn't put pattern 9 down.
Hold on. I need to
read. It says appeal to authority. It's not literally appealing to Peter Watson's authority.
Oh, God. All right.
Well, I don't know about that. I think he's just like saying Peter Watson.
But no, by his logic, anytime I quote an authority figure, he goes, "You're trying to appeal to an authority." This here, right. you cannot tell me that he didn't put Peter Watson's name down.
Adam, can I ask you something?
Without the intent of using his name as a gotcha. Like
Adam, Adam, I know you're watching this, so just don't play dumb with me. Tell me, are you stupid? Like just tell me. So, because I don't want to.
If he tells you that he's stupid, then wouldn't that just be playing dumb anyway?
Nightbreed. He's saying no, it's not.
Yeah, listen. I'm gonna explain it like this. When I was quoting Brandon Sanderson, who is the most respected fantasy author alive, and he uses in his lectures, like this is a award-winning, like multi-million copy selling guy. This is right now. He is the big one. Okay. Now, when I quoted him when he was talking about how bad The Last Jedi was and how he uses it in his lectures to teach people, particularly the casino planet, he uses that scene in particular as to what not to do. Don't do that.
Well, I
Like
mean,
he said, like he does that all the time. Now, if that counts as appealing to authority, I would like to think that what he has done here, which is like, you can't tell me he didn't use Peter Watson's name other than to be like, ha, I got it on good authority that like that. See, it's based on real science.
That's pretty much the same thing. I mean,
It is.
I wouldn't even use Cansobite as like the main problem with The Last Jedi, although it certainly is a huge problem. I would personally use the Battle of Crate as just how not to screenwrite, because it's honestly like the most broken thing I've seen in a movie.
Oh
That's
yes.
the whole movie. Like the part, but the biggest one that rings in my head every time I watch scenes from it is the part when he goes, "Why can't we catch this one cruiser, the Fasta and Lyta?" And it's like, don't you have small ships in the back of yours that could catch up with them if that's the logic?
But even worse than that, this cruiser never manages to outpace the First Order cruiser whatsoever.
Yes, so they're going the same speed.
But
Like,
it's not even faster and lighter. You guys are moving at the same speed, and you have TIE fighters.
Yes, that catch up with them already. They send free.
Don't you guys realize they're running out of fuel, so they're going slower?
That's not how that
Which-
works.
And also, like,
Momentum would actually carry them through space for like a few miles.
yeah. And also the
18
fact that
hours of fuel. Also, I don't know how a resistant ship, a military ship, has a hyperspace jump and 18 hours worth of fuel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What
That's
fuel does the
absolutely
hyperspace
insane.
use?
Like the Republic Venators in Star Wars: The Clone Wars were able to do like multiple hyperspace jumps, and while traveling through space, despite undoubtedly having smaller fuel tanks.
By the way, the
Uh-huh.
hyperjump kamikaze also proves that they could have hyperjumped the whole time.
yeah.
What about the transport that Finn and Rose took the Cansobite? It had hyperspace. Why didn't they
Yeah,
just
and
take
it caught up back to the Radis. Like,
They could have all just hit out on the casino planet.
yeah, they all could have.
And also, here's a hilarious thing. So, this deals when people say, "Oh, how come the blockade couldn't track the Naboo ship in the Phantom Menace?" And this is dealing with hyperspace, where when you look at the original trilogy, as soon as the Falcon jumped into hyperspace, Captain Nita was shitting his pants because he's like, shit, I lost the Falcon as Vader is watching them, and we cannot track them.
Dude, he should have just used hyperspace tracking.
Which,
I
how
don't
do
even
we
have
even
a-
do that?
I don't even have a problem with hyperspace tracking as a concept because it would make sense that years later they would figure out how to do this. But they use it so inconsistently throughout the film.
Yeah, where it doesn't make sense in The Last Jedi. Like, the concept, yes, but the way that they show it, no.
You remember when Finn,
I would
Finn goes,
say that it's honestly worse in the original 2003 Clone Wars, but it's still bad here.
like what was worse
what-
actually? Finn when Finn goes, what? How can they track us? That's impossible. And then goes, oh yeah, I used to mop the floor where they had that thing. It's like, well,
Yeah,
then you
Replica,
should know.
Oh no, that's like
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams level of convenience.
Star Wars Clone Wars 2003 has hyperspace tracking.
Yeah, but, like, the way that Anakin says is R2 lock onto his signal, where that
But
That-
then after that, the people on the ground just happened to have Anakin's coordinates for where he jumped for no reason.
okay,
not-
yeah.
It's not as bad as the
In both instances, it's just like logging onto a ship's signal shouldn't be that hard. And apparently, you can just do it from ground level.
yeah.
on a
It's
planet.
not as bad as
Obviously,
the
a very
Mandalorian
easy thing to
tracker.
do.
That's a nitpick, Airborne.
Wow.
It's not as
uh,
bad as the Mandalorian's little tracker thingy.
Oh my
Where it's
God.
just
Oh,
like,
yes,
what-
that's
what is
horrible.
what is this even hooked to? Like,
Oh my god, the tracking fobs are the worst.
Yeah,
don't-
Nightbreed, we are all in agreement here that those things suck.
like I try to understand them because, like, okay, let me give you a better example of a tracking fob. Like, Star Trek has a thing called a tricorder, and they explain what it does. It records certain elements in the atmosphere, or looks for life forms through like pulses or heartbeats or like things like that. So it makes sense how they would find things. But this thing, it's just like it beeps when it gets close to something and stops beeping when it gets close. Like, do they put like a piece of somebody's DNA in it to find it? Because it stops beeping when they kill. Like, it does. I can't make sense of it. It's actually dumb.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
It is a fucking just excuse for the writer to just be like, okay, he could find them because somehow tracking.
Yeah,
tracking.
I actually think it'd be more interesting if there wasn't a tracker and he found him anyway, like through his skill or whatever.
Yeah. All right,
No, we
so
can't do that. Shut up.
all right, so we all in agreement that this is just him being a hypocritical dumbass.
Not only that, like, not only is there other like the whole contrarianism and strawman arguments and stuff like that, but let's go with the fact that this big argument that we just had about things we hate and like, oh, I like that, fine. Oh, I didn't like that this completely destroys pattern 5. There is no confirmation bias here. We've been arguing about aspects of every Star Wars thing we know. And here comes another thing. The whether we encounter objective fact is an issue that we look... Okay, so first off, Adam, if you're against communism, you should be absolutely against moral relativism. Because communists love moral relativism. And I've always said that moral relativism...
I'll be back.
Yeah, I've always said that moral relativism, like the whole thing where it's like, everything's up to opinion. Wow, that sounds like an excuse to be wrong to me. Because that's just... It's just false.
Depends on what kind of moral relativism we're speaking on here, because if we're just saying like, oh, it's my opinion The Last Jedi doesn't have plot holes, it's like that is technically an opinion you can have, but you can also prove that it's wrong.
Yes.
Like, you can technically have an opinion on literally anything, but
Yeah.
there is also a point where something becomes factually provable.
Uh-huh. And the same people that say this will also have fact, like even Adam has things that he says are facts, like the prequels are bad movies. If it's just all up to opinion, like, then what do you even have a problem with us liking the movie for? Like, let's be honest.
Adam literally just said that he's not against communism.
What?
What?
Hey, whoa. Adam, when we debated, you specifically said that Mahler, Vito, ER, and Anomaly all keep doing the communist lie tactic where they keep saying something over and over again until it becomes the truth. If that's not anti-communism, I don't know what is.
Dude, he's just saying he doesn't like how communists argue, but he's fine with their economics.
God, is he inclined? Well, God, fuck.
Like, I even have friends that believe in the whole relativism thing, right? Like, here's the thing.
Dumbasses.
The whole thing, oh, it's my opinion. Don't leave me alone. It's my opinion.
It's a good thing I said it was my opinion. That means I'm totally safe.
Well, here's the thing, that's not even true, because
I'm
there
back.
are things that are true and false. Even if we don't recognize them as that. Like, if we named, like, the only time I think that absolute relativity is a fact is when we, is like with terminology. But if we still renamed everything we have a name for right now, the physical properties of those things aren't going to change. They're going to stay the same.
I mean, like, moral relativism, you'll find it more with people who defend terrible things. Like, I had to dress down somebody from Turf Nation server so badly that essentially at some point they had to agree with the statement that the sun being a star is subjective, because that was the only way they could possibly stay consistent.
That is the example I use, that one in Gravity. Like, we can rename it, we can call it something else. It will not change properties, it will stay the same.
But the thing is, some people will admittedly will say that it's not objective. Just
Sorry, I was thinking about a comedy video I saw a long time ago where a guy said that facts are subjective because they keep changing.
Hey, stop making fun of Vosh, okay?
And also the facts. Have you guys read 1984?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, look at what Adam's doing, then think about the book.
Down with Big Brother. Down with Big Brother.
Hold on. Whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, but like these people will essentially say, I mean, I had a debate with somebody, even in the AI core, but they essentially had to say that 2 + 2 = 5 in order for their point to remain consistent. It was that bad.
Oh, of course it is. Like I absolutely believe that 2 + 2 = 5 in 1984 came from a conversation similar to that. Like I personally believe that he solved it.
I mean, it's really disappointing to see people basically just be like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to deny all basic logic in order to remain consistent on my point, instead of just changing my perspective.
Yeah, and the thing is that they actually will do things like they will say, "Oh, well, there is no such thing as objective truth." It's like, sir, you realize what you just said. You made a statement that is objective and said it was true. Like, do you not hear what you're saying? Like,
oh my god, there was.
If it is just your opinion that everything is subjective, then why do you care if I'm being objective?
Exactly. And here's another thing: a lot of the people, like I don't know who else Christians are here. A lot of the people that have this opinion are of the belief that God is in fact not real. Well, how can you prove that if there is no objective truth?
That's actually, that's another epic counter. You can add that to the long list. But guys, there's also something in the Bible which is also very
useless here. I'm just listening to you guys do all the work.
There's also another thing in the Bible, by the way, which is very useful to understand, and that is that my people are lost for a lack of knowledge. I was hoping for that to be a lack of. Well, regardless, the point still stands. A lack of a love for truth will lead you to fucking disaster. So, yeah.
So pretty much anytime anybody becomes biased in defending or attacking something they love or hate.
Adam is atheist, by the way. All right, let's get to pattern 6. I'm going to read this out, and then I'm instantly going to go to the bathroom. So you guys will better.
Yeah, I actually have to. I have to go to the bathroom.
Gonna make me hold down the fort.
People are
I'm still here.
People are writing George Lucas' story for him. This is a pattern that you might have seen, but you've never observed, and possibly been brainwashed by. Possibility been brainwashed by. Okay.
Oh shit!
He's so much smarter than us child idiots.
People will create character traits and
create force powers in order to have events on screen make sense. This includes Anakin. This includes Anakin is cringy. Okay. This includes Anakin. Do
you want me to read it?
No, I'm good at this one.
Sure, but
this includes Anakin is cringy while flirting because he's never interacted with a woman in his life. Padme died in birth because Palpatine drained her life force to put into Anakin. That is terrible argument that some people.
Wait! Is that even a thing people argue? I've never heard that.
I really hope nobody ever argues that because that is so stupid.
I've seen it argued once as a joke.
Palpatine, my interpretation makes an argument because that would make the prequel so much worse.
My interpretation of it was that after Anakin nearly kills her, that the trauma of it combined with birth killed her. That was my interpretation.
Yeah. All right.
Same.
Palpatine was able to kill 3 Jedi Masters in a few seconds because he used the Force Scream. Whoa.
Okay. Now, if someone does argue that, that would be extremely hard to prove that his scream was a Force Scream.
he just wait a minute, but he forgets about. Like, it would be the Force Scream disorients them, not just the Force Scream. Fucking idiot.
I am a bit questionable on that scene, but you can still narrow it down to Palpatine is such a better fighter that he's able to outmove all of them.
And what I mean
and also the fact that as a fighting guy, like, if you go there to arrests an old guy, then all of a sudden he moves fast. It catches you off guard. You're like, what the fuck? Oh, I'm dead.
I would certainly say that like it happens in about. I mean, Jedi 1, they have enhanced reflexes. They can see things before they happen, and 2, it's like a good 4 seconds, which is like 10 for Jedi. Or not
Airborne,
10, but like at least 6.
Airborne. Look, this kind of montage film style, like nitpicks. Like I know you refuse to concede on them.
I don't
but
find it acceptable.
It's just how it works. All right, it's not always going to play out well on screen because they have to show shit which actually happens dynamically in one fell swoop, but be cut up into parts in order to make it look more cinematic. Anyway, let me move over to the next thing.
I still think there's some things they could have accounted for, but
yes. The mostly the explanation is Ian McDiarmid just didn't know how to do it right, and therefore it looks kind of shaky sometimes.
Yeah.
Palpatine was able to kill 3 Jedi Masters in a few seconds because he used a Force Scream. Palpatine knows fucking shit. Palpatine knows Padme is going to die and that she's Anakin's wife because he's the one who caused Anakin's dreams. What the fuck did I just read?
Is that even a thing? I have never heard that.
He did not have Anakin's dreams. These are definitions.
I didn't comprehend it properly. I need to read it normally. Palpatine knows Padme is going to die and that she's Anakin's wife because he is the one who he is the one who caused Anakin's. I never heard that before.
No.
Is he aware that the Force has a degree of telepathy?
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fact that like.
All right, I think you guys got this by yourselves. I'm gonna head on now.
All right.
Let's just use a little inference here. So Palpatine knows about what Anakin did to the Tusken Raiders, which means he probably knows about the dream.
Yes. He literally says, you told me about the Tusken Raiders. So if he told him all of this in full context, he wouldn't exactly not know about the dreams. Or even if he did, he could probably infer it because I don't even think he needed to have Anakin tell him. Let's be honest, because if Yoda knew about it, Palpatine would have known about it.
Even more about that, Force users can sense each other's thoughts. That's established from the original trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they can manipulate.
I have no doubt that Palpatine, the most powerful Force user to ever live beyond maybe Yoda, could have problem with reading basic things that Anakin would be worrying about in the moment. Like, that just seems like something he could easily do.
All right. In the first point, and I'm already gonna stop because this is getting ridiculous. I will say this to you. You may take the criticism. We take events in the prequel. Oh my god, this is written so poorly. We may take events in the prequels out of context to make them suit out what? Suit out your arguments?
Suit your argument.
Suit out arguments. Okay. To make them suit out, fantastic. But by writing the story for George, you are creating context for the movie in order to make it suit your argument. You are doing the exact same thing in
Reverse. Please have some self-awareness.
Referee, please have some self.
Hey, okay. If a movie establishes something and it wasn't noticed the first time, it's not creating context, it's noticing more context.
Yeah, I mean, I do personally think that there are times where, like, I mean, Nam's pointing this out, and actually you highlighted in your video, Nightbreed, that a lot of people will infer certain things about Dexter Jettster in order to kind of repair the coincidence of Dex in Attack of the Clones, and it's like that at that point it is just being charitable towards the film in order to repair it. But things like But things like implying that Anakin, implying Anakin would be awkward around girls because he was raised by celibate monks, that's just inferring based on context.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a
Like,
very,
we could-
there's a very notable difference.
Yeah. Here's the thing: we could actually be completely wrong about that if another piece of information came out to contradict it.
Of course.
But that's the thing about objectivity. See, objectivity doesn't mean fact; it means the closest thing we can get until we have more information to prove us wrong.
It's more so coming to a logical conclusion based on research and
Yes.
then forming an opinion out of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Exactly.
just that's kind of what it is. It's like it's not telling people how to feel because we think we're objective.
Uh-huh.
It's just research.
Uh-huh. And here's the thing, though. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Adam kind of has a point here where people do write George Lucas's story for him. I am sure one of us knows somebody that unapologetically will make excuses for some of the shortcomings in some of George Lucas's work, whether it be in the original trilogy or the sequel, or not sequel, but the prequel trilogy. I'm sure there's people out there that do that.
Yeah, there are some.
But this is the worst string of strawman arguments I've ever heard. Most of us,
none of these I have ever heard anybody say, and if I have, they're usually people I don't want to associate with, and they're very rare, or they're just joking.
yes, like the Force Scream. That was the first one on me.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, if we're gonna do that, Adam does this more for Rian Johnson than I.
Hey guys, I'll be right
Yeah,
back. I need to step
Abrams.
out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Copy
Yeah,
that.
basically writing for the film and whataboutism are the only arguments you can have for the sequels. Either you have to be incredibly charitable and assume only the nicest things about the film in order for it to somewhat work in some capacity, or you're honest about yourself and realize that there are flaws.
Yeah, we're not even saying you have to hate the movie. You can love that movie.
Yeah,
to death.
I love plenty of terrible movies, plenty of mediocre movies.
Yeah, I love the first three Transformers films. I've said this on record. Even though
The first one, even though I think it's just average. I mean, Aquaman I think is a pretty shitty film, but I love it.
John Wick 3 is a recent example of a broken piece of shit movie that I love.
I like.
John Wick's gonna whack.
Well, in Ice, funnily enough, I actually like the Transformers movies. I think they're good. That's my own war to fight right there. I don't think they're good in the sense that they're great films or anything. I just don't think they're bad. And I don't know.
Think they're well written because
I think the writing is better than what some people say.
If we're talking compared to The Room, it's certainly better.
Okay, that's a low bar. That's a bit.
Let's. I mean, it was compared.
We're saying better.
Room is an okay movie.
We're saying. I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying like a 6 out of 10. It works. It absolutely works.
Okay. Here comes my hot take on the films. Okay. I think the first movie is a solid movie, but it has one big glaring plot hole that I can't ignore that takes points away from it and actually keeps it from being the best Transformers movie. And that's the fact that the soldiers directly acknowledge that the Decepticons are tracking the cube and decide to take their forces into a populated area. Remember Lennox, one of the soldiers,
right? Yeah.
He says he's right. They're tracking that cube and they're going to follow us. So then, what do? They go into a city. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, that is.
That action scene, by the way, is great. And for a movie that's 13 years old, some of the effects in that movie are just timeless and look amazing.
Well, I think they're just trying to escape. It's.
Maybe, but at the same time, they should have taken it out into the desert.
Yeah, because it goes against everything soldiers stand for.
Yeah, but they would have probably also gotten slaughtered if that happened. like there.
like,
Hey, look.
totally
It's a fair point. I just don't think that it necessarily is a full plot hole. Like we could probably I'm not even gonna say that this is like a good thing. Like I was gonna say like maybe the kind of
Replica, you did admit the story would change drastically if they went out into the desert.
Yes.
yeah.
Now here's the thing. This is how you take care of that. It's actually really easy. Establish just like okay, we need to get a landing zone. Well, we can't do that. There isn't an area close enough, or something like that. And it's like, well, I guess we have to go into the city, and then they evacuate the city, and then a fight breaks out. Like you can still have that awesome action scene, but with a bit more context.
I guess I watched I haven't watched Transformers 1 in like years. I actually watched the second one recently, and I'm sorry guys, it's not a bad movie.
I completely disagree.
Let me put it this way: like I looked past the cringe and found that it was actually a lot more solid than like it.
What do you
how
mean
I
by
put it?
cringe? Do you mean the bad writing?
Yeah, there's a lot of like objective like flaws without the like the funny faces or the sex jokes. Like,
Yeah.
Well, those are like primarily what are
This
bad
is
about
the
the
case of like Spider-Man 1, where the haters are just haters. This is like actual bad filmmaking.
yes, there are things in the movie that like when you look into this movie's development, you're just like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. Like there are scenes where Optimus Prime's corpse is on a plane, right? And they walk past it for the scene where they make the one politician guy, the liaison, pull his parachute early. They walk past Optimus, and then the camera cuts back and he's gone. And then it cuts and there's his foot. And then it cuts and he's gone. Like the plane's completely empty. He's not there. Like this happens several times. There are scenes where they reuse shots 3 times in a row. I counted. There's some bad things like that. Also, the story doesn't make any sense because they could have solved the problem early in the film and they just don't.
Okay, look, I don't care about any of that. Like the primarily
That's totally consistent.
shut up,
With
Airborne.
what you said on this server before.
Quiet,
I
Airborne.
will say for that.
The primary problem with those films is always the sex jokes and the weird like conversations.
Yeah, well, that's all what the normies say about the movies because they don't know how to criticize
Yes,
film.
that's my problem is that the normies keep making criticisms like, okay, shut up. There are other problems we can talk about here that are bigger. Like,
no, that's the real problem.
Who cares about sex jokes, you know?
I like those are the real problems. Like I don't know about any of this other stuff you're talking about. I haven't even thought of that. Like like when it comes like if you can look past that other stuff, these films work for what they are. Like it's
well, here's a big problem with the film's plot.
what do you mean?
It shatters the plot of the second film. They establish way at the beginning of the movie that when Optimus dies, you're just like, oh no, we need something to revive him. It's like, but wasn't Megatron just revived with the shard of the Allspark, which Michaela established she still has?
Yeah.
It's like, why don't they revive Optimus then? It's a weird contrivance that they never address. Honestly, to me, I think the second film is easily the weakest, but I still really enjoy a lot of aspects of it because it came out when I was like 8. So,
right, okay. Look, that is a really good point, and that definitely takes a lot away from the movie. I never claimed they're masterpieces.
Yeah,
I just really don't think they're like horrible, terrible. Like they're just
They're not as bad as everyone claims they are.
they're not bad for the reasons people say they're bad.
They're not unwatchable cancer fests. Like they're pretty all right movies that.
Well, Transformers 4 and 5 are pretty cancer, I think.
That have some dumbass.
I would
problems.
debate you about that.
Well, I
I
think
don't
what
know
made
if you want to. I'm pretty harsh on those movies.
I think like what made me like because what you pointed out there that was pretty bad, but I don't know, it was sort of like how at the beginning of the movie Sam was going to be leaving his like house, you know, and his parents behind and everything, and at the beginning it was his mom that couldn't let go, but then towards the end of the movie when they're in like that town and there's a giant conflict, it's his dad that can't let go, and then his mom is like, fine, let him go. It's like, what? Yeah. Like I was like, when the fuck did anyone ever bring up that this is like a real plot line that works?
Yeah,
like
that works fine, but I still think there's
I know. It just I think I just sort of pissed that people were just like, oh, it's fucking bad because some cringe moments.
Yeah, because Wheelie holds Michaela's leg for 3 seconds. It's a bad movie,
Yeah, like that logic, that kind of logic in the film critic community just needs to die. Like just hard.
People, like I said, that's the problem with the prequels as well, is that yes, they're problems, but because you don't like these problems doesn't mean you can keep creating problems that the film doesn't have. Like
I mean, like
Transformers 2, there are things that I really like in that movie though.
Cosmonaut, instead of like actually attempting to criticize some of the logistics with the assassination attempt, like any at all, because we can have a discussion whether or not those logistics are actually sensical or not. They might be, they might not be. Discussion for another time. But instead, he's like, Palpatine sends a man, who sends a man, sends a man, who sends an assassin, who sends droids to go kill Padme. It's like, you didn't even do anything.
Yeah, I could describe any plot that simply and make it seem like it's bad like that. You have to go deeper than that.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I
expect more than just.
I'm now going to read the next one. I'm immediately going to the bathroom after that, and you can do that as well, other guy. All right. I'm running out of accents. Pattern number 7. Grasping at straws when they know they can't win the argument. They will grasp at straw. Wait, what? Oh, stupid fucking way he wrote this. All right. Pattern number 7. Grasping at straws. When they know they can't win the argument, they will grasp at straws. Did you even watch this? Fuck you.
That's not even a grasping.
Who says that?
This is such a broad thing, though, because you can literally interpret anything ever as grasping at straws with this logic. He doesn't give a good definition.
You can.
Like, good God, Adam, you could work a little harder on this.
A little bit, I think.
Yeah, a lot of it. Because, part of the reason why I wanted you to give me these patterns is because if, the thing that makes the objectivity work is standards. And if I understand your standard, maybe I can understand you. This is a very loose standard.
Yeah, I mean, so let me see. That's it. That's his whole pattern right there.
Yeah, that's it. Is that the only grasping at straws thing?
It's literally just grasping at straws, and his reasoning for it is that it will grasp at straws.
Yeah, it's a thing people do.
Oh my god!
Not even saying why grasping at straws is bad in this instance.
So,
and by the way,
you can watch them. I mean, I do genuinely wonder sometimes if critics of the prequels watch the movies because it seems like they just completely either they just forget all of the important information or they willfully ignore certain aspects of the prequels that would improve their view of it. But I think just saying "Did you even watch the movies?" is really lazy, and nobody should do it.
And if a prequel fan did that, I would be like, okay, come up with a bigger argument, man. That's kind of weak.
Yeah.
There are some times where I'm like, did you even watch this? Like, a good example that I did use this argument because I seriously wondered. Do you remember Ralph the Movie Maker's video about Joker?
Yeah, that was a disaster.
Yeah, I honestly wondered, did you watch the movie? Because that doesn't even happen. He was just like, he assaulted Joker for no reason in the bathroom. It's like, he says right after he punches him why he punched him. Like, he stuck his thumbs in his son's mouth and then proceeded to assault him.
For no reason.
Yeah, for no reason. I'm glad somebody else understood that reference.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. It's like you had to have not seen the movie. You had to have seen a clip of it on YouTube out of context in order to come to the conclusion that Bruce Wayne's dad assaulted the Joker for no reason. Because if somebody had come to my house, stuck their thumbs in my son's face, and then proceeded to assault my butler, choking him, yeah, I'm gonna punch him in the face if he starts cornering me in a bathroom.
No,
Yeah,
you
I
don't
would
understand.
definitely
He didn't
do that.
want to, for no reason.
Yeah,
I would
he
find it.
hysterically laughing at him too. It's just like, what's wrong with you? I would assault him. Get out of my face.
Yeah, I think you can make the case that that Thomas Wayne is not the nicest guy on the planet.
Yeah.
Like he calls the low income section of Gotham clowns.
Yeah.
He's not a great guy.
It's one of those things that's consistent with his character, and yeah, I do think Thomas Wayne would hit that guy. But the thing is, though, the whole, like, did you even watch the movies? It's rarely used. I'm not saying it isn't. Adam, I guarantee you we will find people on both sides of the aisle who go, did you even watch the movies, bro?
Yeah, that's just everybody, really. Like, you can find all kinds of people in all fandoms that do that.
But that
just-
doesn't... Yeah, it doesn't make the argument itself illegitimate. It just comes down to how you use it.
Yeah, I mean, if you make a long-winded argument to explain why your point is correct, and then you say, "Dude, did you even watch the movie?" It's like that's kind of rude, but you have a point.
Yes, interesting question, you know?
Now, if you ask, did you actually watch the movie? Because in the movie, it's X, Y, and Z.
If you
Yeah.
just say, if your response to an argument is just, "Did you watch the movie?" then I'm disappointed in you. But if it's not, then I don't really care. Like I don't mind people being inflammatory towards
Isn't
arguments.
that's basically all of his patterns, though, is following this same pattern, if you will, of like, no, these things still can work if you argue them correctly. And it's the same thing with his arguments against the prequels, like politics bad. No, bad politics bad. Politics have been in so many stories, in 1984, in Star Trek, and Game of Thrones, and Lord of the Rings, and like there's so many examples. Like, most recent example I can think of that was almost purely politics was the HBO series Chernobyl. Has anybody seen that?
No.
I have seen part of it. It was really good from what I remember.
It is fantastic, and most of it is talking about what are we going to do about Chernobyl, and you're so invested in these characters. Like, I agree that if you have politics just to have them there, that it's boring, but politics can serve the plot like extremely well if written correctly. You just, like, politics isn't bad. Bad politics is bad. Like, this shouldn't even have to be explained. Basically, what I'm saying is that if you're going to criticize the prequels, go farther than saying politics bad, because that's not a good argument. You have to go way farther than that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't really understand this insane double standard when it comes to the prequels. It's like you're allowed, you know, oh yeah, you can criticize plot and character like an objective mastermind, but when it comes to the prequels, all I have to say is politics bad, then you've won the argument.
Wow. This YouTube feed of the stream was on point. All right. All right. If I catch my breath, we can get to the next.
Y'all talk for a minute. I gotta go. I've been holding it. I will be back in like a few seconds.
Where are we?
We're on pattern 8. False equivalences. He put it right next to pattern 7.
Pattern 8.
All right. Hold on one second.
Wait, don't read it yet. I gotta go.
Motherfucker. Okay. Soraborn, you ever heard of a game called Pure?
Pure? I have heard of it. Never played it.
What? You've heard of it? Awesome. All right.
But I don't know anything about it, though.
All right. Now, here's something that's really, really interesting. If you want a game that does subverting expectations correctly, I highly recommend the game Myst. M-Y-S-T.
You mean that 90s game?
Yes. It is
All right.
such an excellent game.
Well, you teleport from place to place, so not playing it.
Well,
Okay.
there's a redone
all right.
version called the Myst Real.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever said in my life.
Yes,
I'm
probably the most. Yeah, I was about to say that.
like, okay, I don't like that. Like, there's a certain barrier for me. Like, when it just becomes teleporting from picture to picture, I don't. But it's if you say it is, then I bet it must be.
Oh yeah, because like there is like you have missed Riven, Exile, Revelations, Uru, then End of Ages. So you got like 5 games. And it's amazing.
What? Hold on. What are you talking about?
The missed games.
There's like this story-driven, visual novel sort of game.
Kind of. But like the first game, it does subverting expectations the correct way.
Subverting expectations. Yeah, I assume. Oh, all right. That guy is here. Cool. All right.
Hello, I am the amazing atheist.
Fucking hell. Yeah. Okay. Talking about people I want to make smaller with heads chopped. Whatever.
Huh?
Oh, whoa, calm down, man. Whoa. Don't go full
I-
amazing atheist and say you hope that every AutoZone in the country burns down.
I hate that man so much. He's such
Christian,
an
we can't hate, okay? We have to have strong dislike, all right? We have to be better.
I dislike that man to very high degrees. All right. Let's all right. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this in
The amazing atheist voice.
no.
Pattern 8, false equivalencies.
Oh Jesus! All right. I was actually gonna go Mr. Plinkett. Pattern 8, false equivalences. They compare things that aren't comparable. Examples: Luke versus Vader is Anakin versus Count Dooku.
Okay, that is a bad example because he doesn't give us a counter example of what is required. What makes something.
He doesn't
comparable.
even explain why it's a bad comparison and what the comparison is about specifically.
Hey, this is his chance to actually
what-
explain himself. Hey, Adam, I know you're watching. Why don't you actually explain what can be compared?
For some
Yeah.
reason, this is making me think about that video at the Capitol where this one person in a megaphone said that Hitler was right about the whole repeating a lie thing. And the person in the video didn't even listen to that and was like, she said Hitler's right about something. I was like, oh, God, Jesus. Like, it's. Yeah, thank you for just.
I think the more equivalent scenario to this argument would be somebody said Hitler, just like the name Hitler.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because it's just that it's just that lazy in terms of argumentation.
I'm sorry. Like, I still can't believe that's real. People are like zombies like that. All right. Next point. Okay. Appeal to authority. This is uncommon, but it's still there. The only thing that matters is popularity.
That's not an appeal to authority.
Wait, what?
Popularity is
The only
completely
thing that
different.
matters- He does. Wait, what?
Nobody
Adam
ever
has
said.
used that argument
How do
before.
we appeal to popularity? Because like, last time I checked, the prequel defenders are the unpopular ones.
Made the case that believability is dependent on the amount of people that believe that it's possible. For example, Padme, he made the case that he didn't find Padme liking Anakin after he slaughtered the villagers believable, and I said, but I do find it believable. So what are you gonna do about it? He said, well, you're just stupid. And I'm like, what about all the other people that find it believable? He's like, there are more people who don't find it believable, therefore it's not believable. Like,
Which is
so-
appealing to popularity.
not authority. But he believes that appealing to popularity is bad. even though he does it often.
And also, appealing to authority doesn't even necessarily have anything to do with popularity. You can appeal to an unpopular authority.
Yeah.
Also, there is another example of this. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty with Raiden and his girlfriend.
Oh, hold on. What's that?
But you don't know what Metal Gear Solid 2 is?
No, I really wish those games were on PC, man. Like, fuck.
I think Metal Gear's on PC.
Metal Gear Solid 2 is on PC, yeah. Wait, Metal Gear Solid 1 is as well. Oh, they were. They were on like a... Fuck! Alright.
My favorite one's the third one, but proceed.
GOG.
Yeah.
The better one's
But,
the third one.
Like, what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
with Raiden, like, once his girlfriend found out what he did... Wait, can you... Okay. Making sure Discord didn't go jank on me. But once Raiden's girlfriend found out, like, his past, she was, like, very emotional. But then at the end of the game, she still loves him.
Oh. I haven't finished the game.
Well, that's actually funny you bring that up, because it's also a good example of an authority not exactly meaning popular, because, like, this is a complete, like, this is an infamous, pun intended, thing that happened. Metal Gear Solid 2 was, like, hated when it came out. And that game isn't really that bad, but it is still got a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth because Snake wasn't the main character.
After having
and
played...
also, real quick, could I actually shout out to Small Channel?
I want you to tell me who the main character of Metal Gear Solid is.
Well, if you want a very, very good take on the game, I highly recommend a YouTube channel named Max Darrett. He has a video called The Most Profound Moment in Gaming History, and it talks about Metal Gear Solid 2.
Sorry, that video pisses me off because I keep seeing the skeleton-faced guy, and I'm like, what is this in reference to? I want to know. I want to know, god damn it.
I'm actually friends with Max.
I personally actually don't like Metal Gear Solid 2.
No spoilers.
I'm not going to get into spoilers. And it actually has nothing to do with spoilers. It's actually more so the way the game plays. I got so used to Metal Gear Solid 3 that when I went back to 2, I was like, ooh, I don't like this. I like 3 a lot more. I've played 3 God knows how many times. I'm
going to be honest with you. I think 2 is better than 3.
I thought you said Metal Gear Solid 3 was the best one.
3 is overall better than 2, but 2 is an order of magnitude superior in what it's doing.
I disagree.
The AI, just the AI, man, like it makes all the difference. Like the gameplay in Metal Gear Solid 2 is just heart stopping. Like that, when they made that was some serious shit. Like, for as much as I love Metal Gear Solid 3, like the combat in that game is infinitely easier, and that's probably because the camera actually fucking works properly now. But that doesn't take away from the fact that in Metal Gear Solid 2, the AI does not fuck around. They will hunt you down and kill you.
I mean, they still do in some cases in Metal Gear Solid 3, but you are right. It's not nowhere near as much. The AI is much cleverer in the second game. I will agree with that.
Well, it's also stuff like how in Metal Gear Solid 2, they go in for the kill every time. And in Metal Gear Solid 3, they do a lot of sort of very slowly running around you. It's hard to describe. Like, I've
definitely noticed that. I've played that game enough times that I can notice like stuff like that. But I still think there's some things that game does that are like really cool, like the camouflage.
That's why I say it's overall the better game. I mean, it's not like the AI is bad. It just like it. I said it to my uncle, who's also a diehard fan. Like, it pretty much is what you would expect. A bunch of barely trained soldiers in 1960 are probably not going to be able to compare to elite soldiers from 2009.
Well, yeah, the same thing is like when you actually face the more elite soldiers, like the Ocelots, they're like way more deadly than the regular soldiers. Like,
Oh yeah.
they'll give you a run for your money if you come up against an Ocelot versus a normal Russian goon.
It's actually kind of sad that you don't fight the Ocelots all that much.
Yeah,
Like they should have probably had Grozigrad just be full of them only.
yeah, I agree with that. Well, one thing I think that game does exceptionally well is, like, I think it actually has one of the best stories, probably in gaming in general, is Metal Gear Solid 3. Like,
It's glorious.
that's also
Like,
an example of how context can change a story, because, like, when you first play Metal Gear Solid 3, you're probably going to be, like, really aggravated with the boss, but when you play it again, the boss becomes, the best character.
Stop.
I'm just saying. Okay.
Nightbreed, we're going to do another podcast tomorrow or the day after that where we talk about video games.
All right.
All right.
Oh boy.
Or
I'm
we could
so
do it after this.
excited.
That can work too. All right. I'm going to say this in the most edgiest, most like just cringe, like just hunt down the Freeman style, just heart stopping, like cringe. All right. Pattern 10. Criticism objective.
You fucked up my face.
This is the kind of misanthropy you will
Sandra.
deal with because you hate a group of people unconditionally. You will simply spin the situation about how subjective criticisms are invalid because you're criticizing the film for what you want it to be. Wait, what? For what you want it? Okay. For what you want it to be. And not for what it actually is. This is not true. Personal opinion is great in critique, as I have already explained that. I've already explained the way you need to judge art is how much of your audience likes it. That is
Objectively false.
all right.
Yeah.
Let me finish. Audience likes it. It should be very clear that when you that when you do this, you might be turning into it.
You should have read this one in Duke Nukem's voice. Criticism must be objective to be valid, baby. You know.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I hope that I'm with this piece of knowledge here. I hope Adam never acknowledges that you criticize a piece of work ever again.
That's a bold point.
Prequels are pretty popular.
Also,
Dude.
the most
people
hilarious
like
thing
them.
is when he points out, like, by how much the audience likes it.
He will say things like subjectivity is a stupid shield, or he'll
Yeah,
say
Yeah,
that
because I've had him, like, I've showed him what the audience thinks of The Last Jedi, and then he says the audience is stupid.
so clearly this argument needs a bit of depth, because it's too big of a blanket statement.
Audience is stupid.
So this thing where he says criticism must be objective, like, he literally says in his video that I responded to that the reason why people like you guys and me to an extent like the prequels is because we don't know how to be objective.
Fuck's sake. You know, remember that shit about Transformers?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still don't think they're like. I just think I only think they barely make it to being good, simply because the underlying story is something that, you know, it works. Like what you brought up, that kind of breaks it. But, you know, like, if you don't notice that, then you can still sort of, you know, it still passes, you know.
Well,
Like
that goes to enjoyability, which is he's saying right here that enjoyability is something that we disregard or something like that. Since when? Like, even Mahler will say that we'll talk about how valuable a subjective opinion is. He's just separating the two Like that's no one has ever said that someone's opinion is invalid about the prequels if they have a negative opinion about them.
Yeah, that's definitely like an incredible frustration point with this video.
Yeah.
I mean, with this text. Oh God, Adam, who will they ever find to replace you? No one.
Yeah, he's a one of a kind specimen.
I would just say he's one of a kind in general. I don't think that.
Let's also go over the fact that you could literally apply what he's saying to the sequel fans.
You can apply this to like I'm sure like
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Yeah,
for example, if he said that if he said that the lightsaber fight in episode 1 wasn't very good, which I'm pretty sure he would say because he hates everything about the prequels, I could just say, but everybody likes that fight, so it must be good. Like this argument is so like nobody will ever want to stay consistent on this argument because they actually want to make a point.
Yes.
Like,
and that also disregards the fact that
it's not even a matter that the argument is entirely invalid because it is, but you don't even have to do that. You could just ask people questions about movies until you finally get them to admit, you know what, maybe this isn't a very good idea to argue.
Well, here's another thing. He doesn't even take into account the fact that there are stories or pieces of art that when they came out were like pretty disliked, but as people watched them, they understood them more and liked them. And he's probably like, that doesn't happen. That never happens. There are movies that audiences and people didn't like.
What about a reverse thing where it's like the audience initially liked the movies, but then they became less received over time?
That's what happened to The Hobbit.
Did the movie become worse? How did that happen if the movie never changed?
Yes. And
I have no idea how you defend this position from any sort of logical standpoint, because the movie does not change based off of reception, only the reception.
Well, yeah. like here's the thing, receptions change over time. Let's talk about The Force Awakens. When Last Jedi came out, people started reflecting on that movie and realized that maybe it really wasn't that good.
Right. And now a lot of people just don't like it at all.
Yeah, some people say it's even the worst one in the series. Like, I don't know if I'd go that far. It's the most consistent. But
I can understand it because
it's like a I don't know, it's like a 3 out of 10 probably. It's pretty bad.
Like I think I know the perfect way how to explain it and word it, Nightbreed. Basically, Last Jedi is honest. The Force Awakens is lying.
Yeah.
I honestly can't for the life of me pretend that's true.
No,
and then the Rise of Skywalker is trying to cover everything up.
Yeah,
I think Skywalker is the most honest out of the 3, honestly.
Honestly.
What what I mean is that like the Force Awakens hates Luke and the fans and like everything Star Wars stands for as well, but it's pretending to like it to get our money.
Yeah,
that's like it's like J.J. Abrams makes a nice pretend pandering fan film train wreck. Like
it's basically Joe Biden's military speech. Clap for that, you stupid bastards! It's the movie equivalent to that.
It's the The Last Jedi, on the other hand, like Rian Johnson at least immediately tells us with the lightsaber toss over the back what kind of movie.
The problem with that statement is that Rian Johnson clearly cares a great deal about his stupid little fan fiction.
It's because he's a dumbass.
Yeah, but that's not exactly being honest with yourself or with the audience. That's like because he thinks the movie is to some extent a good film. He's even willing to compare it to Empire. Like
Empire would have gotten roasted.
Like if he had basically just came out on Twitter and said, "Yeah, my movie is garbage. Deal with it." It's like, okay, you're being a dickhead, but you're being an honest one. But he's like, "No, my movie is good, and I am quote unquote sorry that it didn't meet up with your expectations. You're all man babies."
Yeah, and then Cuckman did the same thing with Last of Us 2.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, if I made something like The Last of Us 2, and if I I'd probably I probably wouldn't be able to. I'm probably not capable of making a game that bad. But if I was, I probably would know that there's no coming back from this. So I would probably double down.
If I made something like Last of Us 2, I would beg someone to shoot me through the head.
I think that would be my escape. Because if I made something of that poor quality, I don't think I could live on this planet.
So another thing is that like
What's going on? I joined late. What's going on?
we're reading Anomalies patterns.
No, the Infamous.
Well,
okay.
they're anomalous patterns, but they were created by the Infamous.
Who are you?
Vite, or Vite, as you call it.
Hello, Vite. How you doing?
I'm fine. Don't call me Vitello, and we'll be fine.
You know, I came up with your name, son. I can say what I want about you.
Son.
Hey, you did not come up with my.
Yes, I did. It's on your birth certificate.
Okay. Did you come up with a pronunciation?
You know what? I did. Vite.
Fuck you.
All right, so
Hey, you're the most disappointing thing since my son, and you are my son.
hey, Adam, can you do us a favor and say another one of these patterns you haven't put on there yet? Like, I don't know, like the Nazi complex of the prequel.
Oh god, he probably will. Don't give him any ideas. Like here's the thing. There's a couple of things about this. He's also like what we said earlier, ignoring the fact that people's opinion shifts. Like there are movies that came out that were not well loved and then are now cult classics and considered great films, like The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, because spaghetti westerns were notoriously hated because they weren't American westerns back in the day. And then you have movies like John Carpenter's The Thing, which wasn't enjoyable to a lot of people, and then they found out, wow, this movie's actually really good. And or The Labyrinth or Hook, where audiences and critics hated it, but then it became a cult classic. Like
and a Clockwork Orange, which was extremely controversial upon release because of its graphic depictions. But now it's a cult classic, and a lot of people fucking love that movie, and some even consider it one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, and people have to acknowledge that the movie never changed. The movie always stayed the same. It was simply the fact that people got new information that changed their perspective on the film.
Yes. Which, by the way, it doesn't necessarily make the movies we talk about.
Point is just stupid.
Yeah. Which, by the way, doesn't even necessarily make the movies that we just mentioned good. If we're going by audience reaction here, like by your logic, it doesn't apply evenly to things because people's opinion changes.
Let's think about this a little further. What if the film was hated for 20 years and is now been liked for 2? Do we consider the movie bad because it was hated for a longer amount of time, or do we consider it?
Or
good
what about
because
even Tron?
Yeah.
What if a film becomes liked, then hated, then liked again? But
you mean like Return of the Jedi is an example I would use for that.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's that like there are so many variables that you don't consider, Adam, that you fail to qualify. And if you had actually gone into detail with any of this, I would be more charitable towards you. But literally, all you say is that objective opinions are bad, and if you say popularity is correct, then you are correct.
Also, he just put pattern 11. People who hate prequels are cinematically illiterate. Remember what he said earlier about, did you even see the movie, bro? Now he's using his appeal to his authority that he has better taste in film, so therefore has a right opinion. So like he can't even stay consistent with his own patterns.
I guess wait a minute. He says people who hate the prequels are cinematically illiterate.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But didn't he get mad at
people who say that are stupid?
Yeah. Well, didn't he get mad at me for doing essentially the same thing when he was just like, wow, you clearly don't know what a character arc is, and said, yeah, I'm a writer. Like, isn't that the same thing?
What has he even written? I want to see his work.
It is a sweeping statement and definitely an overgeneralization. Although I will say that saying that people who hate the prequels are cinematically illiterate, I think that is one of the I think that's one of those things that like it is still unfair technically, but it is one of the fairer things. One of the fairer unfair things you can say. Because
Well, next we're gonna have to establish what is it to be cinematically literate? Like, what's the opposite?
well, thank you, Nightbreed. Like, no, that's absolutely a fair question. It just what I'm getting at is that with how they criticize the movies, like just ignoring basic film language, like that makes it justified, in my opinion, that to say something like that because they really do ask retarded questions, like the whole 180. Like, why are the ships only coming from left to right? 180-degree rule, dumbass.
I would say the 180-degree rule is not really always applicable, but in terms of showing geography, I would certainly say that you ought to use it.
I think. Oh wait, this is Anomalies. Not Anomaly. God, the infamous is Pattern 11. I think he misspelled it. I don't think he meant what he says here because it seems like he's defending prequel lovers.
What's going on here?
It's hard to say.
All right, let's see here. Where is he? Where is he posting this?
Special needs chat.
The only chat he can post in. We locked him out of all the other chats.
Wait,
All right.
wait, he's actually defending the prequels right now.
What? Really?
A good example is Chris Tuckman not knowing about the invisible line.
I'm not sure what he meant by that.
The 180-degree rule.
Yeah, that's what I just brought up about how.
Yeah, wait, is Adam actually defending the prequels right now?
Well, if he is, he would have to start another pattern for prequel haters. Like shouldn't be a continuation.
Hold on. I think what he's
trying to say that like bringing up the 180-degree rule is stupid.
I think I know what's going on. He says that he's saying that we probably like overgeneralize or something by saying that people because I think Adam despite all his hypocrisy, he can acknowledge that there are bad reasons to hate the prequels for. And I think that he realized. I think that's what he's saying here, is that we take people like Stuckman that are dumbasses in criticism, and say that they're all like him.
Okay, I do think there are people that do that. I would agree with that. Like that is strawmanning to like a ridiculous degree.
I think I'm gonna step away for now.
Okay.
This was fun. All right, nice meeting you, Nightbreed.
All right, nice meeting you too.
One good example I would say is like people comparing Ben Shapiro to Chris Stuckman when it comes to the prequels.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. But here's the thing though, like I guess that's what he's saying. I would actually I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I kind of agree with that one.
Same.
All right.
I can't say I disagree, but there are people who do criticize the prequels who criticize basic things that are in other films that are like general film rules. It's like it's like kind of, let me think of an example other than politics because I keep using that one.
Well, here's a good one. So people say CGI bad in the prequels, but yet they praise CGI in like all the Marvel movies.
Yeah, so obviously they have to be more specific, like what counts as good or bad CGI instead of just going CGI bad,
Yeah. Oh God, I can't believe
Also,
Because
yeah, go ahead.
well, one YouTube channel which I don't like for obvious reasons, Fact Fiend. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
No, it's a horrible channel, but like they shit on the prequels and like they shit on every movie that has CGI, except when it comes to like the Marvel movies, they praise it.
Yeah, they
that's
do the same
fine.
thing with the Transformers films.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
though I have my big gripes, like we just established with those movies, like when people just like the Transformers movies have too much CGI, it's like, well, actually, not entirely. The only one I would say that's true would be the fifth one, because that movie
Yeah.
has like entire scenes that aren't even practical. Where if you go to things like this is objective and provable, Transformers 3, which I think is actually the best one overall,
I
the
agree.
Battle of Chicago, which has some amazing practical effects, by the way,
Yes, it does.
held the world record for years for having the most cars destroyed in a movie. So how do you destroy cars, real cars, with CGI? Like, you had to have destroyed practical cars in order to win that. Like, it's like, sorry. They use CGI in the wrong places. Maybe. I will concede on some of that. A good example I can think of is sometimes the close-up shots for some of the clone troopers in Attack of the Clones look a little off. I think they should have done what Lord of the Rings did and have close-up shots be real people and backup far-away shots be CGI.
Well, that's the sacrifice of pioneering a technology.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Which,
also
by the way-
fact that
Yeah.
like the amount of scenes, like most of the sets and scenes in the prequels are actually practical sets.
Oh yeah, most of them. In fact, we can actually wait. No, that somebody needs to make a video without fucking talking. There's a video on the internet that shows all the practical effects used in prequels. It's actually absurd how many there are, and nobody gives a shit. Like it's part of the reasons why I just get fucking super angry with people who hate the movies. But yeah, it's it's funny, Nightbreed. You seem to be sort of so and so with the films, but you're getting torn to basically in defending them relentlessly right now, simply because of how fucking retarded some of the criticism against them.
Exactly. That's my point. It's like, okay, listen, you can criticize the things they do wrong, but you have to, for the sake of consistency, praise the things they do brilliantly.
Yeah.
Nightbreed, was it in your video or was it in the debate that you said, you know what, I actually like the prequels now?
I haven't really said I liked the prequel. Overall, I would say I like them fine.
All right.
I definitely like things in them more than I hate, but I can't ignore some of the things that I feel like are objective problems. But I'm going to have to watch them again and analyze them to be sure.
I think that at least you should definitely drop the "they're not good" thing, because I don't think that's fair. That's sort of like saying that the action is not good in the Michael Bay's Transformers movies. They're like at worst I personally think at worst 8 out of 10. But but if I go even further than that, like the worst I could possibly fucking imagine, 6, not any lower than that, because at that point, it's just like, really? Are you really going to tell me that a movie with world building that is this hardcore is on the level of, like, I don't know, an average, below average summer blockbuster B movie or something? I don't fucking know. Like, obviously, obviously the criticism that it's like The Room is retarded. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Everybody
obviously,
knows.
I would never compare it to The Room. That's ridiculous. Like, that you're at that point, you're just intentionally just being malicious just to be an ass. Like,
there's such this is so
Also,
fucking overhated, man.
there was one video of someone comparing the CGI in The Phantom Menace to the Myst games, which I already brought up earlier.
Oh my god.
But like so the Phantom Menace and the Myst games both have the exact same thing. They've pioneered technology. Because the reason why cutscenes or in-game stuff looks so good today is because with Myst, what they did is they had a green screen and then they had actual actors to play the characters.
And it is true, like, I don't mean to be like, you didn't even watch the movie, but there are people who do not understand CGI who complain about CGI, and they can still not like CGI by the time they concede that maybe the CGI isn't that bad. That's not the point. The point is, though, like, do you know the CGI, VFX Artist React show on YouTube?
Yeah.
That Corridor Digital does. Say what you want about them, but when they always talk about like these big misconceptions about CGI and about how hard it is to do some of this stuff, and especially like, well, when was the Phantom Menace made? Like 98. Was when they were doing production. Like the CGI at the time, for it to look as good as it did, is in itself impressive. That would be like complaining about Tron's CGI. Like they couldn't have literally done any better.
Yeah, they did a video of them trying to recreate the classic light cycle scene from the first Tron movie.
Yeah, and they could do it in a day. That's how much easier it's gotten. So we can't compare those things. Now we can say that the CGI was
that comparing the Phantom Menace with Mist is fucking unfair. That's 1999. Like video games were starting to look pretty damn good around 1999. Like, you know, like Half-Life, it's another one. Well, Hitman was 2000, but that's close enough. Like it's obviously it didn't look photorealistic yet. You have to wait a few years for that, but
and
comparing it to Myst, a game from 1993, 4?
Yeah.
Like that's bullshit.
But I will say, even for that early of a game, it still has better graphics than a couple games today.
But like, here's the thing though, with the CGI, like if you look into how they did some of the CGI, you will have a new appreciation for it. It's the same thing with like they'll teach, like the VFX artist guys told me, but they said things that I had never thought about or never knew, and that made me appreciate. Like there were little things, little details that your mind doesn't even register in the CGI, like the part when they're in the pod race scene where they're racing and you can see the reflection in the mirage on the floor. They didn't even have to do that. Like, but that makes it look so much more real. Is when they do little things like that. Like that is some good. Like to have this, there are people who do argue that CGI was used incorrectly in places, and I could probably concede that. But to say that the CGI is the problem is stupid. It's the same reason. It's the same exact thing when people criticize Michael Bay for having too much CGI, even though any VFX artist will tell you that he is the guy that combines real things with CGI. He doesn't like CGI explosions as much as he likes blowing up real cars. Like that's his thing. Have you ever seen the meme where Ryan Reynolds is on the set of one of the Michael Bay movies? He goes, "What's it like shooting with Michael Bay?" I think it's the moments of silence where, and then all of a sudden a car explodes behind him and falls, and he's still talking casually, and you can't hear him anymore. Like, it's just incorrect. I don't think Michael Bay overused the CGI except for in Transformers 5. In Transformers 3 and in 1, like there are like the scene where Bone Crusher slams his face through a moving bus and the bus blows up. That's an actual bus they blew up for that shot. Like a lot of those scenes in that movie are extremely practical. As practical, like, and then you have hypocrites that go, "Oh, Mad Max Fury Road was amazing because they combined CGI with practical effects." It's like, you mean kind of like what Michael Bay did?
Yeah, like it's
or the prequels.
Or the prequels.
Like I'm so sick of this explosion brought to you by Michael Bay. Bitch, Michael Bay does explosions better than any of you losers.
I do agree that there are some cases where it's a bit ridiculous, but if we're gonna go with the only person I've ever seen that had too much destruction or explosions was actually Godzilla King of the Monsters, the one that came out. That movie was really bad, I think.
So
I think that movie has way more CGI.
All right, so we all right, so any more bullshit to throw at us, Adam, or are you just gonna like roll up in a ball and cry now?
I mean, he's been ignoring me for like the last few ever, but he'll keep showing up in my comment section, leaving comments.
I mean, to be fair, like, you've like thoroughly destroyed him, so
I think he's embarrassed. Which, by the way, like, you can keep your opinion on movies, but stop like saying things that aren't true. and stop being all like, "Oh, subjectivity is the only way," and then saying, "No, you're stupid if you have this opinion." It's like,
look, Adam, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I feel like this is mostly the end. Like, I've gotten tired of you. Like, I'm not sure if I'll just kick you from the server or anything, but like, I feel like after this, like, it's time for you to move on. Like,
I'm pretty close to done with them. Like, I don't.
yeah. Like, just
Yeah, I'm going to put like
I-
his channel on mute for
Like-
myself.
like Adam, just I don't know what the fuck that other channel of yours is, but just go make more like dancing videos or whatever the fuck, and just stop making these because it's just bad.
Here's the thing, man. Like, dude, your dancing videos, even though I would never watch them or enjoy them, they're not my forte. They're so much more competent than the stuff you make now, and I think it's because you were extremely passionate and cared. You don't really seem to care that much about this, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, like it's deadpan all the time.
Yeah. And like, because he doesn't put the kind of work that someone would care into. Like, I cared a lot about my response video to him, and that's why I made it like an hour longer, going over certain things I missed, because I care that much about the video, and I made sure I got the best editing and the best music and the stuff like that I could do. Like, there are times
that video is a crazy good. Like, you highlighting his deceptive editing is fucking just glorious to watch.
Yeah. Like, I had to do an entire segment over it because I noticed it so badly. I was like, wait a minute. Like, this is... Like, there are times where I skip parts of his video, but that's just because he was saying the same thing over and over again, and I was saying the same thing in response. So it's like, okay, you've already heard that, so there's no point in doing that.
I know the feel.
Yeah. So...
I'm making a response video to Southpaw's Spider-Man 2 video, so I totally get what you mean. Like, sometimes you just don't want to listen to the guy again.
Yeah. And here's the thing, though. Like, when I watch his videos, it's the same thing when I watch The Last Jedi. It feels like a first draft. It feels like he wrote it one time, read it through one time, and then, like, didn't correct any of his mistakes. Which is why things pop in and out of existence in Last Jedi, because it's a first draft. Like the first draft I have in front of me does stuff like that. This what it feels like. And that's what I get from his videos. I don't get the passion and the amount of work and effort it took to make some of the videos that he makes on his other channel. Like, his videos aren't like my forte, but they're so much better than the crap he makes now.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They're even in 1080p. There's
even the video I uploaded yesterday, like, I actually put work into that.
Yeah.
Is it okay for me to just sort of laugh at you guys here? Because my videos have always been like, maybe not the very first one, but you can go back to like just as far as you want. Like, you'll find that every last one of them is 1080p and 60 FPS. I remember my early Logic back in the day. I love, like, it was like, well, I'm not very confident in my own ability here, but if I could at least make it look good, then people will take it more seriously. Oh, God.
Which is true to an extent.
Yeah,
like,
my early videos are, I wouldn't exactly call them like bad or anything. I would just call them Foley. Like, I was still looking for a place to go.
yeah, I didn't have a clear direction with my channel for the longest time either.
Well, you know,
so
like,
now it's basically come down to storytelling related commentary is what I want to do.
Well, basically, what my channel was originally is what was going to be is Fear is the best game ever. This is the best game. I will show it to you.
I don't know. I haven't played it to this end, so I don't know if it's the best game ever. But like, you've seen me playing it in the video, so you know that I like Fear. So
I mean, like the video. My channel was basically going to be Fear is perfect. Fear is love.
Fear is life. I pray to Fear every night.
You guys remember when Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life was a thing?
Yeah, that's what we're quoting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it just that was what it was originally meant to be. And to be fair, I'm very irritated with. I'm playing Fear right now, by the way. I'm actually really irritated that I never made a review or at least anything with it that other than those few AI comparison or showcase videos. But yeah, for the, like it I don't know, channels go different directions. Like as much as I hate to say it, I'm still it's actually kind of sad now that I think about it. Like I've done a podcast. I do a podcast with a whole bunch of guys. I made over 100 videos, and I don't think I've ever made a single video where I address my audience. Like, just like, hey guys, replica here. I like you guys subscribing to my content and all that shit. More bullshit ahead. See you guys later. Like, I've never done that before. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand that. My channel, I used to want to do like Call of Duty, like zombie Easter eggs because I found them really interesting. That's what I wanted to do, and boy, I haven't returned to that at all.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, it sometimes it just expands into something better. But I think for the most part, I've always just been too tired to. I don't know what it is with me, like whether it's my physical condition or whatever, or like my mental state. But I've never been truly able to make the videos I want to make. Like I think I might be able to do it now, sort of, but for the last like 5 years, because my channel is actually older than most people here. Like I'm not sure why, but like mine goes back to like 2015. Like I started.
Mine started in 2015 as well.
Huh. You and I should hang out more. I feel like we've got a lot in common.
We're blood brothers.
I especially since you're 20, because I thought you were like 36 or something.
Really?
I don't know. Your voice is like mine. It's a lot more mature, but I still have the youngness in it. You've already skipped that part. But well, that's not don't whatever.
Well, I'm back.
Who's back?
He's back.
Who is he?
Dude,
Oh, it's
just look
all
at the stream.
What?
It's me. Don't you remember me?
Thank you, Lopez. Bro. All right. So
What?
you want?
What thing are we on? What thing are we on?
No, we just ended. Like,
oh, you ended the stream?
huh? No, I was like, we just finished the whatever thing we were talking about the patterns.
Yeah.
How long have you finished number 10?
Well, I think we're mostly done here. Like, unless somebody else wants to talk about something that Adam did or whatever.
Adam. How about we look
Like,
at Adam's face?
I'm so done with him.
Yeah.
He was an annoying dude from the start that just makes boring, terrible videos that are absolutely boring and terrible. And this is not your thing. Make something else, and that's all I'll say. Like, just stop making these videos. Make something that's actually worth it. Like, don't worry. Don't worry. The ravages of time will kill us all, and then you'll be happy.
Well, I don't know about you guys.
What?
But I'm good.
What are you talking about? You're not gonna live 150 years.
I know the secrets.
Well, okay, this is stupid. All right, let's